Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy.
Away we go.
Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 654. It is actually September, oh god. What's the date today, Nolan?
17th.
17th. My name is Nick Henderson, and I am joined tonight by Brad Simons.
Sup?
Christopher Guthridge.
Hello.
Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Davis.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It's going to be, I think, an exciting show. We have some games to talk about, but I think perhaps more importantly, we are finally getting into the nitty gritty of next gen launch shit. Both Microsoft and Sony have both made their plans for launching their new hardware known. Yesterday was a great big clusterfuck. Which we'll talk about, I'm sure. So we'll do that in the second segment. We have some games to talk about. But before we do that, I have a little bit of housekeeping I want to go ahead and mention. One, we're making a few subtle tweaks to the show, just as far as formatting goes. But you're probably going to notice it most when we get to the 4-player minute section tonight. So it's going to be interesting. We're actually going to try timing our 4-player minutes. So stick around for that. I have no idea how that's going to go. It could be a great big shit show. But we'll see. I also want to mention that I have moved, and I am now in the position where I can stream and play games again. So I am going to be continuing the Bully Revival Club because I had to kind of put that on hiatus for like a month. So,
Nick, let it go.
You shut up. I booted it up yesterday just to make sure everything was good. And I remember it. So I am ready to get back into Bully. I'm making good progress.
And what
in that
else
game.
are you going to stream, Nick? What else?
More importantly, before I stream Bully again, I am going to be streaming this weekend. I don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday. I'll let everybody know. I'm going to stream Tales from the Borderlands. Y'all should be excited. Brad, you seem skeptical. Brad already is.
No, I just typed how long to beat into Google, and the first suggested was Bully. I hate Google and every... I didn't even say it. Nick said it. Nick said it.
Into your computer.
Look, it's scary.
Nick,
how this happens.
How
What's
long
up?
to beat says the main story is 15 hours. You've been playing that game for like 6 months.
But I'm doing like side stuff. What do you want from me? That
main plus extras, 20 hours.
Would you not say that Bully is a game with side stuff worth doing?
Main plus extras, 20 hours.
Yeah, but I was streaming once a week for 3
extras
hours
are
at
in
a
that game?
Once a week for 3 hours at a
some.
time. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to tell you, Brad?
There's some.
Huh?
There's some.
Also, my life has been chaos for about a month, so give me a break. I'm going back into it starting next week. I'm picking Bully back up rather than just kind of moving on to the next game. I want to make sure I finish Bully. I record a podcast. I have a conversation with some community members about it. I'm looking forward to it. And lastly, I want to mention I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys about this very much, but our next video that we're going to produce is about Cyberpunk 2077. Kind of. We're each going to be making a recommendation. Those of us who participate in this video, we're going to be making a recommendation for games to play to maybe get you in the mood for Cyberpunk 2077, because that game is like 2 months away. It's crazy. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But without further... Who just changed the dock? I'm looking at the dock. I have it pulled up here. I'm looking at our itinerary for the night.
Thinking Nolan.
And the game that I was going to talk about tonight has been changed to Skin Flute.
You played the skin flute?
You played Skin Flute, Nick?
I thought you
It's
just did that in
okay.
high school.
It's okay.
That's got to be Nolan. It's got to be Nolan. Anyways,
It'll hurt that you...
let's start by talking tonight about the game that y'all played last week when I wasn't here. Y'all all played it together, right?
Yes.
Among
Nick
Us.
was not among us when we played it.
Too
Come
short.
on,
the
Nick.
imposter?
Come
I
on.
honestly know nothing about this. In fact, I had my first experience with like Fall Guys the night before, like 2 nights before I moved. So like I'm way behind the 8 ball on just these great big community games. So what the hell is Among Us?
Nick claims he was moving, but I don't believe him.
I
He
just didn't like
definitely
y'all.
was the murderer.
I needed.
It was an
some
Among Us
time
joke,
off.
Nick. You didn't get it.
Oh. I don't know. I know nothing about this. The
Nick,
most I've
the
seen of
easiest
Among Us
way
is in
to
the GIF
describe-
that I posted.
The easiest way to describe Among Us is like Mafia or werewolves. Any kind
Or
of
Resistance?
or resistance. Any kind of game where there is an imposter who is acting like they are one of the group, but they are actually not. And that's the whole concept behind this. This is actually a mobile game from like at least 2 years ago that just like never caught on. And then apparently like not within the past like I don't know 6 months, if even, like it got really big in Korea. Like some Korean streamer picked it up.
Oh, so this isn't even like a new thing?
Nope, this is an older
That's-
game. But in the past, like it got one of those things where
How'd that
like
dude
it
kill you so fast?
because he's a dick. In the past, I don't know however many like weeks, months, whatever, it went from like, having an average of like, a couple thousand people at any point in time on Steam playing it to the other day there was like 300,000 people at once. They have over I don't know how many million players now. It blew up fucking crazy fast. So the whole concept is you're a crew on a ship and everyone has to do tasks. Be it shooting some asteroids out of the sky, be it emptying some leaves from the garbage disposal, being it fixing some wiring in the ship.
Is this anything like Space Team?
No.
Yes and no. The mini games
like-
are kind of Space Team-esque.
Well, it's like that. It's like that fucking Mafia meets Space Team thing. It's like the stuff that you're doing while the imposter is trying to fuck with you is like all you trying to keep the ship running, kind of
Gotcha.
like in Space
Yeah.
Team.
Cool.
Yeah, you're trying to fix things in the ship. They're all, I would almost describe it like WarioWare-esque mini games, especially when you first start playing, because you have no idea what the hell you're doing when it comes to these mini games. It just shows something and it's like, hey, do it. And you're like, what do I do? You have to fucking play Simon. Oh my god, that is one of the worst ones, especially when
to
you're trying to
start the
do it
reactor?
and someone fucking keeps calling a meeting or finding a body before you can finish and you gotta restart. But anyway, so what happens is, and as you can see if you're watching the footage, I am dead. One of the imposters killed me.
Dead as a doornail.
What generally happens is, when someone sees a dead body, they report it, and that stops
they
everyone. Well, once a dead body is seen, you have the option to report said dead body. That
You're
gathers
a ghost floating around.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
I was
gathers.
like, why are you going through walls and shit? Okay.
Yeah. When a body is reported, everyone is gathered in some central location and a discussion ensues. I was with Crispy and we were in the process of, fixing this thing in the electrical room, so we clearly are not the ones who committed the murder. It's kind of one of those things where it becomes this bluffing game for the imposter. People who like, oh, well, you know what? If that body was killed in the hallway, I just saw someone running from that direction. It could have been them. And it becomes this game of whodunit. Crispy loves to accuse me very loudly.
No.
That's
I,
good.
I
How
just
dare
go
you.
for the,
Crispy's tactic.
So like
Crispy's
the best
tactic is
play
yell.
I had.
Yell as
No,
loud as you
it's
can.
not just yell. It's conviction, Nolan. It's like the inner fire. Okay, I burn the truth out. But like, yeah, my best play was definitely like I walked into a room. I was the imposter. I walked into the room after somebody. I don't even remember who it was. It might have been like Illumination or something.
Mhm.
And I killed them. And as soon as I killed them, I could see Nolan was like right there looking at me, and he immediately reported the body.
And I'm like,
Because he saw
Crispy
me
did
do
it.
it.
And Crispy
And,
yells. He yells
like-
and yells until everyone
I was
votes
like-
that I'm the imposter.
I was like, I got to get the first word out or I'm going to lose control of the situation. And I didn't even argue like the semantics of the game. I wasn't even talking about like what I was doing or what he was doing or what anything was going on. It was just like, I was just lying about how hurt I was that Nolan was like bald face lying to my face like this when I was the one doing it to him. I was like, Nolan, this could affect our friendship, and and everyone voted him out, and then I felt like a real piece of shit.
That sounds brilliant to me.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the point of it. The point of it is kind of getting away with a lie, trying to set yourself up for, when you are the imposter, not only can you kill people, you can sabotage a ship, so you can cause things to happen. You can cause the lights to go out, which makes it really dark. You can only see like maybe a foot in front of you. You can create like a meltdown in the reactor, which requires 2 people on opposite sides of the reactor to put their hands on the little scanner to cause the reactor to fix itself. And all these little things to either split people up or kind of get them in different areas. And then once you do that, you'll notice around the map there are vents. Imposters can go into vents, and they're the only ones that can, so if you see someone do it, it's an easy way to call them out. They can go into vents and quickly move to other parts of the ship, so it might behoove you to kill someone and then quickly get to another part of the ship, pop out of a vent when no one's looking, and then join up with a group of people, and you're like, hey, I was over here with Brad, and we were just doing this. It's like, oh yeah, Nolan was definitely with me. He couldn't have been the killer. It's kind of stuff like that. It's all about setting yourself up for success. Like I said, when it comes to the voting phase, whoever has the most votes is the one that gets kicked out of the ship. And there's a meta to this game where everything can kind of change. So Brad, you were saying, how did that guy kill you so fast? Well, we actually have I think the initial kill counter is only 10 seconds when the game starts. As soon as 10 seconds goes by, the imposter can kill someone.
Is that right?
But then there's a cooldown. By default, I think that cooldown's like 45 seconds, but I ended up lowering it to 35. There are other things you can do. You can really fiddle with like the fine details of this game. That's kind of one of the cool things. One of the coolest things you can do is you can turn off the reporting when you kick someone out of the ship. So by default, when you kick someone out of the ship, it'll be like, oh, Crispy was not an imposter. But you can turn that off. So when you kick someone out, you don't know if you just kicked out an imposter or an innocent person. And I like playing that way because then you have no fucking idea if you were right or not.
It's like, but it's so hard to keep track of like what's even going on.
It's probably less funny though.
Because
it's always funny when
it's funny when you find out when it pops up like you kicked out Crispy and
like,
he was an imposter. It's like, I knew it.
Someone is so sure that the conviction is insane.
Yeah, that's true.
And then
too.
they've convinced the entire room that this person's the killer, and they're just not, and everyone's just like, "What?"
So, how did the stream go? How was this to stream together? That's what I want to know.
I mean, I had a good time.
Brad
was technically the only one streaming. I
was struggling a little bit because I was spinning some plates, and I had never even booted up the game.
Oh, I think it was all of our first times booting up the game. I had never booted it up either that night.
Some of the other people playing knew what they were doing.
I'm assuming y'all play with a bunch of community members, right?
Yeah.
How many people play per game?
10 is the max.
Gotcha.
And you can have anywhere between 1 and 3 imposters. I've never had 3. We generally do 2. And that's a pretty good balance. The thing is, if you have... Because the problem is, the imposters win... if they cause a sabotage that does not get resolved, like the reactor melts down or the ship runs out of oxygen or something like that. B, if they kill crew members to where the only living crew members are equal to the number of imposters. So say there's 6 crew members and there's 2 imposters. Well, if the imposters kill 2 people, they still are out. No, that's it. It's game over because there's only 2 living people left. So it's kind of like this weird thing where you have to get the imposters equal to the number of crew members, and as soon as that happens, it's game over because in that point,
I feel like
they can just kill them.
I feel like the best play of that night, I forget who it was. I think Finding 404. We were both imposters. We were both killers, and like as soon as it started, I isolated someone and I killed someone, and then we immediately go to conversation. And Finding 404 like gave a really convincing argument as to why I was the imposter, even though he was the other imposter. But he was so convincing, and everyone voted me off immediately that no one suspected
No one
finding
ever suspected
404
him.
because he was the one who
that's
convinced
sneaky
everyone
bitch.
that I
You
was
were the
killer.
dead weight, and he cut you.
And
You
then
loose.
that was at the very start, and then he killed everybody else. And I guess technically we won the game.
Yeah.
But I was like,
We won, but you did nothing.
I wish we'd recorded that one. There was one night where we were all playing, and Nolan and I were the imposter for like the last game or second to last game, and we moved through that ship like
it was
wolves among
it was
sheep.
so
We were
quick.
just like bam, 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 bam. Like we were taking them down so hard.
Yeah.
It was great.
You get some really good it often there's this kind of feeling. So it's like sometimes you want to kill someone when they're isolated, when they're all by themselves. But then sometimes it can also feel really good to kill someone near people, but in a position where those people don't see that dead body. So you can kind of get away with it, like because the way, and if you look at the stream when you're running around the ship, you'll see that your vision is like you see the entire map what you're looking down. You're looking from an isometric top-down view, but your character's vision is just what that character can see. So you'll see when you're approaching like a doorway, you'll see like a cone of vision kind of open up when you pass that doorway. So in theory, if someone was standing on the other side, like to the side, you wouldn't be able to see if they were actually there. So that's kind of one of the things you saw right there. As soon as they ran around that corner, it kind of revealed someone. That's one of the things is you can often get a kill right next to a group of people, but if they don't notice it, then you're scot-free. Trying to blame other people or there's a lot of really cool things you can do, and it's all it's just all about the conversations and kind of trying to eke out who did it, and you as an imposter, you can kill someone and then immediately report it. You can be the one who reports the dead body. So sometimes that can go in your favor. Yeah, you're like, oh well, I found this body. I
feel like that's kind of becoming meta too. Like
it is.
People are now most suspicious of the person. Who
Yeah,
reports
if
the
anybody
body.
reports it, they're like, oh man, you used to self-report.
So you admit you were in the same room as the body.
Dude,
Everyone's a
there's
suspect.
yeah, dude, there's it's a lot of fun. It can be frustrating. There's a whole thing of like trying to not catch yourself in a lie because you don't want to be like, well, I was in comms, so it couldn't have been me. And Crispy's like, well, I was in comms and I didn't see you there. It's like, oh, I didn't mean comms, I meant weapons, and there's this kind of thing. But sometimes you do flub up and you accidentally say the wrong room, and so it's kind of
Or
this
like
whole.
sometimes you actually can't remember your task.
Yeah. They're like, oh, well, if you're not the imposter, what was your task? And it's like, I clicked a button.
Sorry, I
don't
can't
know.
remember. I was too busy killing someone.
That's the other map.
Yeah.
Did you say they're making? Because this is like a couple years old. Are they making another
Yeah.
one? Is that?
They are. So this one,
Because the
it
code
is
is
a few
bad?
years old. Yeah, that's what the developer said. There's 3 maps on this one, which is, I mean, it's good enough. One of the biggest downsides to this game is you can't swap maps without having to like get out of your room. And the problem is they've had a lot of networking issues where sometimes it can be very hard to join a server that's already in progress to play with other people. And so the developers have straight up said, like, hey, honestly, it would be more difficult for us to fix this game than to create a new one that's even better. So that's what they're doing. They did beef up the servers. I will admit the game, for the most part, does run better than when we first started playing it. There's still a few occasions now, and I think yesterday we tried to play, and we were only able to get one game going. We were just having a lot of trouble joining each other's games.
Yeah.
But
it's
yeah,
gotten so popular to where they actually changed the room code system for joining private matches. Like it's become that big.
yeah. Because the room codes used to be 4-digit numbers, but so many people were playing that was not enough numbers to differentiate different rooms, different servers. So they actually had to extend it to 6 digits. But yeah, it's a good game. It is $5 on Steam, which is very worth it, and on mobile, it's actually free. So definitely worth checking out. I will say it can be tough with random people. You might have a little more fun playing with other people. That's how I would recommend it. Thankfully, in our community, we don't have an Among Us channel, but we do have an Among Us role. And if you get that role, it's easy to find when other people are playing. You can just body report it, and then everyone will jump on a server and play together.
Well, if you're listening and you're like, how do I do that? You go to discord.gg/4player, and then you just, I guess, find someone who can give you that role.
a mod.
Talk
or
to one of
someone,
us. We'll figure it out. Anyways, okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Brad, you had a weird game I've never heard of to talk about.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it before I played it.
It's called. You want to say what it's called?
Yeah, it's called There Is No Game: Wrong Dimension. Yeah, I don't even know why I played this game. I don't remember where I heard about it from. I do know it came out this year. And I do know that some people like... I mean, it's got good reviews on Steam. But it's somewhat unusual for me to play this game because it's sort of like a point-and-click adventure game, although it really isn't. Although when the footage starts, it's going to very much look like a point-and-click adventure game.
When I popped into your stream the other day, Brad, and I was watching this, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Yeah.
Okay.
When I looked this up, I was like, this is not what I was expecting.
This is actually like a puzzle game, and while this part does look like a point-and-click adventure, that's just the current game I'm in right now. The dimension I'm in is like a classic point-and-click adventure game. This is Sherlock Holmes and Watson, and this is actually sort of like a comedy puzzle game / point-and-click adventure. It's a very like set PC puzzle game revolving around lots of clicking, but it's sort of taking like a traditional point and click adventure puzzle or a puzzle game and all about thinking outside the box. Like the first chapter of this game, I think there's 6 or 7 chapters or 6 chapters in an epilogue. The first chapter of this game takes place on the title screen. Mm-hmm. And there's a voice that's coming in and he's talking to you and he's like, this is actually not a game. And he's trying to get you to close the game and just exit out of it. But you're trying to like, already he's like an unreliable narrator, right? Or he's not even a narrator. He's just a voice talking to you and he's telling you to turn off this fucking game. And you're like, no, I'm going to click around and see what I can find. And literally the first chapter of the game is before you get into anything that even resembles a game. This is the next chapter where I'm in a game here, a point-and-click adventure game, but I actually have control over this whole tube that the game is playing in. Does that make sense? Like, a TV, like a TV. It's funny because this type of game would probably be on an old gaming monitor, but I mean, an old.
This makes me think
PC
of like
monitor.
Pony Island.
Yes, very much like Pony Island, to the point where I almost don't want to talk too much about it, but you're gonna glean a lot from this footage that is almost kind of like a spoiler, especially when we get into the next gameplay type here, because, well, you'll see when we get to it. But it's all about like thinking outside the box, and you can't interact with anything in the game in the dimension, but you can interact with stuff outside the game. So even though like the UI elements in the game, I can't actually interact with them. I have to figure out ways to like break the game to get stuff to fall out of it, and then I can use those items to interact with the world like indirectly, if that makes any sense. Like, let me give you, I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm going to have to spoil a few things just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So right now I can turn around this TV and I managed to get a coin out of the game, and I was able to use that coin to unscrew the back panel of the actual physical TV that the game is being played in. And now all of a sudden I can see behind the scenes of this game. And it looks like I'm sort of like in a backstage lot. And now I'm interacting with the game behind the game. And like here, you see the snow? I literally unplugged the video signal on the TV, and it created like the snow effect. Later on, I need like a snow cone, and I do that by going behind the TV, unplugging the video signal, and sticking the cone on the snow. And it gave me a snow cone.
So you make a snow cone out of like the static. Like the
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so now I'm in
weird.
another chapter here, and again, this is kind of spoilery. If you to sell people on a game like this, you kind of have to like explain it to them, and I feel like the only way you're going to sell someone is if you spoil some shit.
Give them a few examples.
So
You gotta
here I'm in
tease them
the
a
credits
little
for the
bit.
game. This is like not even the second to last. This is like the third to last chapter of the game, but I'm actually in the credits to the game. And this entire chapter, like that is probably an hour long or whatever, maybe not quite an hour, is actually in the credits. And it's figuring out how to interact with these credits, like to get some of the nameplates to like fall off to where you can pop them into different roles for like
okay. So you
so
essentially
like,
just made Charlie Chaplin the FX person, so everything went black and white.
It's Charlie.
It was Buster Chaplin. Oh, sorry.
It was Charlie Keaton, and I figured out, oh yeah, that's like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. So I get what they're doing here, right? Yeah. So when I dropped that nameplate into characters, all of a sudden, like actual footage of like from a Charlie Chaplin and a Buster Keaton movie shows up in the credits.
Yeah,
and I'm now interacting with actual footage from one of these old movies, and if I take that Buster. Or if I take that Charlie Keaton nameplate or Buster Chaplin, and drop it into backgrounds, then all of a sudden it becomes like an old timey background. Or if I drop it into effects, that'll change the effect. And again, it's all very scripted and kind of set PC, but it's very clever. And that's why, like Pony Island, if I talk too much about it, I'm going to spoil it. And I'm already kind of spoiling some shit here. But at some point, I unlocked, like, I get one of the special thanks of the credits was my cat, and I put my cat into like characters or whatever, and at some point I was able to do get like a red laser, like a cat would chase around trying to get the laser, and then I brought the red laser. I threw up the Buster or the Charlie Chaplin footage, and all of a sudden we're in the footage. He's like shooting his gun, right? And I was able to get him to shoot where I was targeting with the red laser. And
wait, but that's actual footage.
Yeah, no, I know, but what if I might actually do it in this footage? I don't know. I was just kind of grabbing random shit because I was recording as I was playing, because I knew this game would be hard to record because it's very like linear and scripted.
Obtuse?
Well, I couldn't easily jump back into different moments.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I needed to like shoot a can or something. But the only way, or I needed to like get into something. And the only way I could get into it is if Charlie Chaplin shot it. And the only way that made sense is if when he shot his gun, I was aiming this little laser, which was very hard to catch, at the item I needed him to shoot. Whatever. It's weird. This game is bonkers. Here's the final gameplay type that I'm going to show in this footage.
This looks like a fucking Zelda game all of a sudden.
Well, there's a Zelda game, and then there's the free-to-play version of the Zelda game, which is a completely separate chapter where it becomes a clicker, and you're actually having to interact with pop-up ads to get the various puzzle elements you need to progress in the game. So, what I'll say is this is a very clever, think outside the box game. Like, it's like a puzzle game, right? But it's a very experiential one because everything is kind of set PC, if that makes any sense. The thing is, the entire time there's like a voice talking to you. Does that happen in Pony Island? I think at some point there's
really,
like
yeah.
So the creator of the game, or the voice that's trying to get you to shut off the game, he's talking the entire time. He's making jokes. And if there's one flaw in what I think is a really creative puzzle game here, it's that he spoils shit way too quickly, because this is a very creative puzzle game. But he spoils shit almost immediately.
The joy is
sometimes.
that of discovering the secrets, and
It's discovering. He almost doesn't let you. He's giving you hints. He's making a lot of jokes, and sometimes you just kind of want him to shut up because the game is probably clever enough to exist without him. But his character is so important to the story. There's actually that
man. Cleft is coming into chat like tossing around things like this is not a game as brilliant on the level of Puppeteer. Would you agree with that, Brad?
This is a very clever and charming game.
Big proponent of Puppeteer.
Yeah.
Puppeteer was great.
But that was an experience, and this is certainly an experience. And there's like live action footage in this game. And I don't mean like old film footage. I mean like you start interacting with real people. This thing, if you like Pony Island, if you like maybe to a certain extent like what was that, Hypnospace Outlaw, where it's more about like what's really going on here, this is sort of just like I think it took me like 5.5 hours to beat. I played with Malia kind of helping me, and I think because I had two people in the room helping me figure out these puzzles, it's why I kind of wanted the narrator to shut up for a second, because especially when I figured it out before he had a chance to say it, and I'm like, shut up, I already got it. But this thing's wild, dude. I don't know. I mean, as far as recommending it to you guys, I have it on Steam. Maybe you should try it out, because it won't take long to play, but it's like a pretty memorable, clever little funny thing.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like a comedy puzzle game. Again, if you like Pony Island, there's some really clever stuff here, and I think it might even be, well, it's just different. It's different. I never played anything like this, but
Cool.
I really want to talk about it because it's cool and it's wild. And
if you're listening,
I'd
and
love
you've
to get
already
into
forgotten what it's called. It's called
Is this a game?
There is no game. That's
There
what
is
it's
no
called.
game.
Wrong.
Wrong
No.
Dimension.
There is no game. Wrong Dimension. Because I think this person made another game years ago called There Is No Game, but it's different than this. I believe. This is the new one that came out this year. It's different, I believe. So I don't really know. But yeah. I can go all day telling you like specific clever little puzzle things, but that would just spoil it. But at the same time, it might like entice you. So I'm kind of in a weird place here, but I do recommend people try it.
I think you've whet their appetites.
Yeah.
It sounds interesting for sure.
cool.
It looks interesting. I like that like all these different sections of the game have like totally different like visual.
And they really
themes
nail. Yeah, they really nail it. Like the point and click adventure game is voice acted, and it feels just like an old LucasArts adventure game. Man, it's perfect.
Sweet.
Even though I hate those games.
Even though you hate those games. Cool. Why don't we throw it over to Crispy? You've been playing Spellbreak, right? Is that what it's called? Spellbreak, yeah.
Yeah, Spellbreak. Sorry, I was muted because I
No worries.
wasn't listening to that last segment.
Oh, geez, thanks.
Dude, I heard about that game a few months ago. Like, I don't know, like the fucking Steam recommended or something showed that to me. And I put it on my wish list, and I was like, I really want to play this. And when I saw you were talking about it, and you were like, oh, I'm going to spoil some things, I muted the whole thing.
Well, good.
So-
You should play it.
He's already sold on it.
But you understand,
I'm
if
sold.
you don't play it now, then you're just a dick. You have to play it.
You've backed yourself into a corner.
Yeah, you back
Kind of like
yourself
me
into
with
a
Tales from the Borderlands.
Fucking sword of Damocles hanging over my head.
Ooh, nice. Nice reference, Chris.
Nice. Sick. Yeah, so I've been playing a game called Spellbreak, which I might have mentioned very,
did.
very briefly before.
When it first entered early access or whatever.
Right, when it was still like in closed beta.
Yeah.
So they've just gone 1.0. They are also now on console. So it's free to play on PS4 and Xbox One, I believe, as well as PC. And it is a battle royale, third-person, like, wizard fight game. You're wizards, and you cast spells at each other.
That is...
And they're all, like,
shit. Sorry. I look over right when the footage starts, and she, like, creates that path of ice and starts, like, skating on it. I was
Yeah.
like, that's dope.
Yeah. It is really cool. So like the hook is that like it's all these. There's like 8 different. They call them classes, but they're basically just like gauntlets that do different types of elemental magic. There's fire, ice, poison, electricity, wind, and earth. And they each have like a primary fire and a secondary fire that can be like augmented. And then like as you level up your mastery with these gauntlets, you get a bunch of like passive bonuses and like active bonuses that play into them. And the combat system is very much trying like it's like an action game version of like spellcasting in Divinity, Original Sin. And like OS2, because like the whole thing is about how these different elements can like combine together. So at one point in this footage coming up, like you'll see like I accidentally like either I accidentally cast a poison cloud or somebody casts it on me and I'm like whoa, and I back up and hit it with an ice spell and it freezes, and now it's like a piece of cover I can hide behind, or I can jump up on top of it to get like leverage on somebody. And there's a lot of crazy spell interactions like that, like all the different elements combine in different ways. Like you can make like fire tornadoes, or you can make like cover the ground in ice and then electrify it. It turns into like electric water, or like you can fucking create clouds of steam, or you can create like ice storms that will block fire spells from hurting you. Like a lot of crazy shit like that. It is a really neat idea, and it's probably one of the more unique battle royales that are like out there. It's still kind of rough, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot better now than it was when I played it before.
How long was it in early access?
At
least a year.
Yeah, I think it was about a year. It might have been a little more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I was playing this last year with Kenton, I believe.
I think I remember hearing you talk about it.
Yeah, we talked about it on the podcast.
The concept certainly sounds familiar to me. This is my first
Oh,
time.
see, like right there, I'm like, oh no, poison cloud, and then I hit it with some ice, and boom, it's frozen.
And
now it's like a solid object in the environment that I can jump on top of, and like shit like that. So like the main ice attack like is an arrow, and it leaves ice on the ground, and when you walk on that, it makes you move faster. So there's like all these different like kind of movement powers built in too, and they also have these runes that you pick up, which give you different kind of like non-elemental utility powers, stuff like teleporting or turning invisible or just like straight up flying for a limited amount of time. Really, it's like really fun. And then the fights are like incredibly chaotic. It's like terrifying. Like when spells start like exploding around you, you're like, oh my god, I don't even like, where is this coming from? Like what kind of element are they throwing at me? What can I counter that with? Like what do I have? Like it's fucking
it does
chaos.
make sense because like the typical like battle royale is built around like obviously using firearms. So like all of a sudden you're translating that and throwing magic, which have like
what are your pickups?
So
battle royale games are all about pickups, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are, yes. And this one is no different. There are pickups. So you have you can pick up everything comes in different rarities, right? So like common up through epic or legendary or something. You can pick up your gauntlets, so the actual like weapons of the game. You start the game with one. That's like your class. That's your main one. That's the one that's on your right arm, and it can do the most. It has like a bunch of different extra effects when it's your main class or weapon or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you can pick up other elements, like just from the world, like you like loot chests or kill people. They'll drop gauntlets, and you can pick those up and put them on your left hand. So you have like a backup. So you can like have two of different elements and like combine them together for different effects. So I can do that like poison thing. If I needed to build cover real quick, I could just poison cloud freeze it. That kind of thing. The actual like base attacks of each one work kind of differently, and those fall a little more in line. It's kind of easier to think about them in terms of just like shooter guns, It's like lightning's going to be like an assault rifle where it's just doom, 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 like consistent mid-range damage. Wind is more like an SMG where you're throwing like these little gusts of wind really quickly. Poison's like a shotgun where you're just like shooting out like a spray of poison. And ice is like a sniper rifle where you're like pulling back and like shooting long distances for precision damage. But then it's their secondary powers where things get like really wacky.
Can you name what are a couple other movement abilities? Because honestly, that ice skating is one of the coolest things I've seen,
and it's really fun to do too. Hang on.
Sorry.
I got kind of off track with the equipment thing. Let me do that, and then I'll talk about the movement powers. The equipment, the other stuff that you're picking up besides the gauntlets are going to be like belts and amulets. And then there are, like belts are basically just an item that lets you hold shields. Amulets are a thing that increase your mana pool, like the actual like energy you're using to draw on your movement powers and your attacks. And then there are scrolls. So you have these 3 perks that you can like assign to your character, one for mind, one for body, and one for magic, I think. And then you can find scrolls throughout the game that level those up between level 1 and 3. Mm-hmm. And as you level them up, they unlock different passive abilities, so you become stronger like in the game. So it's a pretty simplistic list of like equipment that you're scavenging for, but it's there. It's just like any battle royale game. Now, about the movement powers, so like the ice one is a personal favorite of mine. I really like the ice class because it lets you just like shoot out, and like that arrow, like you can shoot it pretty far and it'll lay ice the entire way. Nice. So like you can cover a lot of ground really quickly with the ice class. It's just that like your main attack is not as spammable, I guess, It's kind of difficult. Like the idea of sniping this game is kind of weird, but Like I don't know, like ranges in this work really differently than a lot of other battle royales I've played. But you can get other things like, so what I was talking about earlier, where like you level up your mastery with the different elements. As you level up different, like for instance, wind. When you get the first like upgrade for wind, it does this thing where dropping a tornado on the ground, which is your secondary wind ability, basically creates a funnel that if you jump into it, it'll shoot you up into the air.
That's cool.
I don't have it, which is why it didn't work in the footage right there. But like it'll just like pop you up into the air. A lot of the movement is handled by the runes though. So you have like a sprint rune. There's a rune that's just like a far forward dash. There's a rune that's like a really tall like springboard up into the air, and then there's the flying rune, which is really you just start flying and you aim your camera to wherever you want to go, kind of thing.
So
like
I saw there was a down but not out state, and they had to come over and like cast a spell to actually kill you. Is that some kind of gameplay mechanic, or?
No, I mean that's like any other battle royale where like if you're playing in a team, you get knocked and you have to be finished off. But in this game, instead of like normally in like most of the shooter battle royales, when you're knocked, you're just like on the ground, like crawling around, and someone can finish you by shooting you.
But that's to give your teammates the opportunity to lift you back up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. But in this game, you actually have to go over to them and do a thing called you have to exile them because nobody dies in this game. They get exiled.
Oh, okay.
It's like getting
It's
sent
family
to the Shadow
friendly.
Realm or something. Yeah. So you have to exile them, or you know that, and that gives your teammates an opportunity to kill the attackers and get to your body and resurrect you or whatever. But yeah, it's a really interesting game. I think there's a lot of actual like balancing gameplay that needs worked on. I think that like, and I don't think this, I think it needs to build a bit more of a community because I haven't seen very many streamers playing it yet, but it like just hit earlier, or it just hit PlayStation.
Do you think this is going to have legs or it's going to find?
I don't know. You know, I mean, like battle royales are kind of like, you don't need many of them, you know? It's like the people who play them, I feel like kind of just stick with one at a time.
Yeah.
What's the
and this one, huh?
What's the lame ass noob combo, and why is it fire and poison?
It's not actually. The noob combo is like
what's the plasma rifle and SMG of this game?
Lightning is like crazy OP just because it's just like the most reliable source of damage. Gotcha. Even though its secondary fire is like really weak compared to a lot of them. And Earth is real rough to deal with because you have to stay off the ground to fight somebody using an Earth because their attacks run along the ground, and the same bar that dictates like how long you can keep like your magic flight in the air. Like that was another movement thing, is like you like that thing where I'm just like jumping and holding jump and like I continue to glide for a little bit. That's every character can do that, and that is drawn from the same mana pool that your spells are drawn from. So like if you're like up in the air all the time, you're draining the resource that you're also using to cast your spells. So it's like kind of it can be really tricky to fight someone with the Earth Gauntlet who knows what they're doing, and because I've been getting killed by them all day.
Where's the Avatar mods?
Yeah, right.
Are there mid-match events going on across the map, or is it just like the straight traditional circle closing in battle royale?
Nope, and it's like there's not as many people in a match as there. Like I think it's like 60 people in a match, or maybe 50.
Looks like 40 actually.
40, yeah, something like that. The map is a little smaller than a lot of battle royale games. There's not really like any events or special missions that you're dealing with during the game. And the games tend to go kind of quick, and they cut down to like, 10, 20 people real quick. It's kind of weird actually. And I do think that's maybe some stuff that would be nice to like flesh out a little bit more. But a lot of these battle royale games, especially these kind of free to play ones, are very much like constant development,
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
What's the final like circle kind of experience?
It's honestly I don't know, because it's like every time you're in the finals, like every time I've been in the final circle, I didn't know I was in the final circle.
Oh.
It was like, wow, it's already just us and this other team, like kind of thing. The thing about the circle is that they like those level ups I was telling you about, where like you get more mastery points as you level up. That happens in game, and you level up every time you cross into a new safe zone. So when they shrink the safe zone and you cross that border into it again, you automatically level up. So there's a huge incentive to like constantly be driving forward as much as possible and not linger, which a lot of other games like PUBG, I mean, there's a lot of gameplay going on in the storm, like especially early on.
So does that mean that in the final area, everyone's basically max level?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's like, everyone gets like consistent buffs the longer they stay in the game because they have to keep running towards the circle kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's weird. I like it, and me and my roommates and friends are having fun with it. I don't know what kind of staying power it's gonna have, and honestly, like my favorite stuff right now is just kind of like moving around, much less actually fighting people. But it's neat and it's free, so I mean that's kind of low stakes recommendation.
Looks cool though. Yeah. I'd be interested in checking this out just for this sole fact that like it's a battle royale with something just using magic as opposed to guns. Just right out of the gate sounds more unique. Just because there's so many games out there where especially in battle royale too, where it's like every game is the same, but because they're using firearms everywhere. So
yeah, well, it can't be that good if Carlos won his first ever match. So.
I bet he was playing against bots or something.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. I think people don't realize that like your first few matches are against bots. I heard somebody mentioning that on a podcast or something.
Carlos is really sad.
He probably
now.
has no idea. Look it up, Carlos, you dumb bitch.
I told him and he stopped responding to me.
That's not surprising.
Now
All
just
right.
wait until Fall Guys makes their own VR mode. That'll be something.
Speaking of VR. Oh no, you said BR.
Yeah, Battle
VR.
Royale.
You abbreviated Battle Royale. I see what you did there.
Lots of
I see
people
what you
do.
did. Really? Am I just behind the times on that too?
Yep.
I'm so old. Okay, Chris Davis.
Yes.
I know you're really eager to talk about this.
And you should be wanting to listen, Nick, because this is some shit for you.
Okay, real quick. Where is
actually.
that coming from?
I tried to get Chris Davis to play this shit last year, and he just kind of ignored me.
Well, I didn't own it last year, and it was $40. I didn't want to buy it then. It came out right before Thanksgiving. That's not a good time.
Why not?
Okay.
Well, tell us about Terminator: Resistance.
Oh,
Nick,
there might be
so,
spoilers. I'm gonna mute.
How much you want to bet by the
just
end
kidding.
of this conversation, Nick is going to want to play this?
I'm in.
So here's the thing.
damn
There
well
is
be
that
right.
I'm going to direct this entire conversation towards Nick, because I think Nick would be really surprised by this game.
Because he doesn't know what it is. That's the thing. He doesn't know what it is, and if he did, he would
I
have played
don't.
it last
All
year.
I know is it's Terminator in VR.
It's not
But
VR.
please remember, I haven't seen the last two
Wrong
Terminator
again.
movies. I'm not a huge Terminator fan. Just remember
It is
that
not
while
a
you're
VR
talking
game.
about
Small
it.
Terminator fan.
It's not a
This is
VR game?
No,
No.
it is not. This is.
Is this Metro Last Light?
It's almost.
It
Fallout.
looks like Metro.
It's almost Fallout in remarkable ways. So this is from a Polish developer named Teon. Their last game they really put out was the Rambo arcade shooter game that was fucking terrible. But they somehow got the license for Terminator, and they actually put out a surprisingly competent game. This is almost like somewhere between a Fallout experience and Singularity.
Okay.
And I do not
there
say
it
that
is.
lightly.
There
I
it
do
is.
not say that lightly. Okay?
With just a tad of Alan Wake. It's just a splash of it.
Is there any
See-
Red Dead in there too? Is that?
No. But this is a first-person shooter, semi-linear.
Are you playing? You're playing on PC.
Yeah, I'm playing on PC.
It's got a 60 on Metacritic. That's respectable, right?
I think it's better than a 60. It's at
I
least
thought
a
this was a
70 in my
VR
opinion.
game for some reason.
No, it is not. It is not a VR game.
That's because it's so hard to imagine a licensed game that isn't a VR experience
So
in
this
2020.
is it's a first person shooter. It's semi-linear in the fact that it's segmented, rather sizable open levels that you will come back to over time as the story progresses. It is set in the original continuity of the films in the future war of 2027.
Okay, just
so
the lore is gonna go right over my head. Just
I
FYI.
understand that. I understand that. Terminator lore as a rule is like convoluted as fuck and constantly being fucked with in every single medium that it's put out.
Dude, it's not surprising. Did y'all see that? I forgot who it was that tweeted about it, but I retweeted it this past weekend. Where it was someone who works in the industry who said they have been hired to work on like multiple huge franchises. Like they didn't name names, but like big franchises, and got there and found out there is no Bible for these things, and they rely almost entirely on fan reaction and
Fan
discourse
wikis.
on the internet to build their worlds. And I'm wondering if like Terminator is kind of like that. Like I wouldn't be surprised, especially based on the way
one
the
of those
last
things
few
that
movies
should have
have
never
gone.
became a franchise, but James Cameron comes along, makes a sequel, and it makes $1 billion or whatever the fuck, and all of a sudden, books and
I'll be honest, I still want to watch that most recent movie just because I heard it was
It's actually pretty good. I like it.
surprisingly good.
So, but then
I
again,
do not want to
am a
watch
bit
the
of a
one with
fan of the
Daenerys.
franchise. So, but so the really interesting thing about this game is that it feels like they kind of disregarded like all the films after 2, all like the other games that have come
As they
out
probably
over the years,
should.
and basically based their entire gameplay design around the 15 minutes of footage of the future war from the first 2 films. Like it's constantly about fighting these robots in a post-apocalyptic environment, mostly at night, with laser guns, and that's
Well, yeah,
it.
I mean, I feel like that's probably like watching those movies, any of those movies, and you see like those brief glimpses of that stuff, and I'm sure like most people have been like, ooh,
Yeah, easily
more of that.
One of
And then
potentially the most cool aspects of that entire franchise, and it's always ignored in favor of fucking time travel to the modern day. Fuck that. No, let's look at this fucking future war thing and see what you can do. And that's what they did with this game. Pretty good job.
All right, I have 2 questions for you. One, is there any binary domain in there? Like when you're shooting dudes, are there like, when you're shooting robots, are they like breaking apart in a really satisfying way?
That was really nice in Binary Domain. You'd think that would definitely be something they would put in this.
I mean, you have to realize that this is a double A or single A kind of game.
Binary Domain was a AA kind of game too.
Yeah, but it was a platinum.
This is more of a double B.
So
Wait,
a platinum
Binary
double
Domain
A budget, like they could put out a game for $6.
He's thinking of
if they wanted.
Vanquish.
Yeah,
Binary Domain was made
Okay,
by the
sorry.
Yakuza team.
Okay, sorry, I forgot. Either way, there is a little bit of enemy destruction.
Hold on,
There's
real quick,
more-
Chris, real quick. That was creepy, not because Robin creeped in, but because we couldn't see her, but we could see her shadow on the wall. And so there's this creepy shadow coming in behind Nick to murder him.
I didn't
She
notice
opened
that at all.
Sorry, she opened the door and one of the cats snuck in. So then she was trying to.
There she is again.
That's fine. Anyway, continue,
Coming
Chris
for you,
Davis.
Nick. Okay. This is a surprisingly competently made game. Again, they wear their love for the Fallout games very evidently on their sleeve. But between just like the side quests that you get from characters, even like the zoom in on characters' faces and conversations, to the branching like story trees, like that's a surprisingly well made.
You mean you're saying in those regards it
Like a
feels very
Bethesda
Fallout.
game. You mean.
Yeah, like a
It is-
Bethesda.
Yeah.
Did you know
How's the-
Bethesda made a open world Terminator RPG in the very early 90s?
Oh yes, they did. And
I
it
did not
was-
know this.
It
Was
was
it-
a DOS game. It didn't even work on Windows. It was a DOS game.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I hear it's pretty good.
So, how was the writing and the like delivery?
Yeah, that was even my next question. Yeah.
The writing's pretty alright. The delivery is
Pretty all right.
par for the course. Don't expect like
Not
you know,
not like
dramatic
noticeably bad is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not noticeably bad. But the overall story and the progression of it is entertaining. There are some twists in there you actually enjoy. Like I am a Terminator fan, and there's some twists in there that I thought I saw coming, but it turns out it was something else that was entertaining.
Hey, it's okay. Did you say singularity just to kind of like lure me into
Just to
playing
pique
this?
your ears, Nick.
Because it worked.
No.
Yeah, there's a part in this game where you come across a door and you can't crouch under it, and there's a scrunched box.
Shut up, Brad.
And you have to
shut your
advance
fucking
time
mouth.
to make that box unscrunched so you can
No.
get under the
No.
door.
So
Brilliant.
I mean singularity in terms of kind of like the storytelling of the game.
Hey,
'Cause you know how
the
in
reasons
Singularity-
for the record, the
Are you
reasons I
playing
love
Frogger?
the
Yeah,
reason I
Frogger
love
is the hacking minigame in this, by the way.
That's good. That's a
And
good
and the
movie.
lock picking game is straight taken out of Fallout. It is 100% the same.
for the record, the reason I love Singularity is because of how surprising and intriguing the story was, not because it was cool like scrunching and unscrunching doors, you son of a bitch.
They just revisited that too often.
I mean, they had a budget, and they couldn't.
They turned a
obviously,
one-off puzzle into a mechanic.
I know, but like they had a budget, and they couldn't take it as far as they, I'm sure, wanted to. So they found a few
Hey,
tricks
dude.
and repeated those over and over again. That's
Dude,
very
I
common.
also think Singularity is pretty all right.
But
Okay,
but
what
the,
I'll take that.
but that's the thing, Nick, is that kind of storytelling
Is what this game
that
is.
level of mystery and figuring out exactly what's going on as you're going along with this invisible, not necessarily an antagonist, a companion. Like that's in this game.
All right, real quick. This is a quick experiment because you got me, Chris Davis. I'm interested. So I have it pulled up on Metacritic right now. Okay, so it has 60 on Metacritic. I'm gonna look up
Okay.
Singularity, and if it's higher than Singularity, I'm gonna play this.
I don't want
It
him
doesn't.
being snooty about Metacritic because look up Days Gone on Metacritic.
All right, I'll do that right now.
I'm just saying, you think that game is
Holy
25
Wait, no. Wait, why?
points higher than Metacritic says.
No, this
No.
game isn't on
Okay,
the
maybe.
level
Yeah.
of Singularity as far as like polish and production
Hold on, Nick.
and
What's
like
Days Gone?
what they want to do with it.
Days Gone's at 71.
Okay.
All I'm saying is don't trust Metacritic
What's
when it comes
Singularity?
to your heart.
I was just doing it more as just kind of a general experiment. I mean, this looks cool. I mean, I've just never been like the biggest Terminator fan, but like I do like time travel stories, and I like science fiction, and I like a good shooter every now and then.
And time travel is a part of this game, and they do
Oh,
it.
it better
and they-
be.
Actually, a pretty well done aspect. Like,
Okay.
I don't
That's
want
all I
to
ask.
go into spoilers about it, but the way
Don't.
they handle it is fun.
Okay. Cool.
Like the whole
That-
game it throws surprises at you, like every 4 to 5 levels.
okay.
Like
Did you finish it? Did you finish
Yes,
it?
I finished. It's a 12-hour game maximum.
Okay. Okay.
There are so many little things they throw in there.
This is not a 2020 game, is it? This is a
No,
2019.
it came out last year.
That's
Last
it,
September.
yeah. If it was 2020, he'd play it, but
There's-
2019, no way.
There it is. Hey,
There's
bitch,
a-
I'm playing a lot of stuff from 2019.
Hey, I'm with you, dude, man. If y'all recommending games, they better be 2020. I gotta somehow spin it into relevance, otherwise, fuck it.
What's Singularity's Metacritic, Nick?
60.
70. No, it's not.
Yeah, it's a six. Oh,
Singularity.
Sorry, I was sorry. I thought you were asking about Terminator. Singularity is like
77?
77 or 78.
Oh, it's 78. Nick, I just looked it up. It's 76, okay? You're inflating the numbers.
He was rounding up.
I apologize. I didn't mean to oversell it.
You're inflating the numbers, Nick.
Jesus. All right, Chris Davis.
I think this game is surprisingly competently made.
What is the Metacritic for There Is No Game? Now I'm curious.
Is there even a Metacritic score for that? You know what, Chris Davis? Maybe I'll. Well, actually, Brad played Singularity. Did anybody else here play Singularity?
I did.
Yeah.
Like an hour of it.
I
I'll
finished
take
it.
it. I was gonna say out of solidarity,
I
will
I
play.
think the coolest thing I did was like reverse time on a rusted staircase to make it a regular staircase.
Yeah, you do that a lot.
And then I was like, now I can walk up these stairs.
Yeah, that's what Brad's referring to. Except you do it with the doors and pieces of cover.
Do you ever do it with people? Like, you never can just like turn someone into a baby?
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I would love to go back and play Singularity again.
No.
There's so much I don't remember.
No, you're gonna get to the part where you have to like have all those insects charging at you, and you just can't aim at them. You have
But
no
hey,
ammo.
you know what? Maybe
You're
my
gonna quit
time would
there.
be better spent playing Terminator Resistance if I'm looking for a Singularity type of
There
experience.
you go. There you go.
There we go. Is there anything else you want to say about Terminator Resistance? It sounds pretty cool.
I mean, I think it's really good. Anybody who is a Terminator fan should play this game.
Yeah, here's what I'll
I'm
do.
honestly-
I'll watch that last movie, and if that gets me hype, I'll play
There you
this.
go, dude. There you go.
I'm honestly the
Who's a
opinion-
Terminator fan at this point, though? Really?
I am.
They don't make it easy. They certainly
Calm
don't
down.
make it easy.
Well, I
it's-
mean,
What
yeah.
What is a Terminator fan?
I don't
Is
think
that,
there's like conventions.
Did
or
anybody
anything
like
for this shit.
Genesis?
the Terminator fan?
No one liked Genesis. People like that last one.
Cool.
Yeah,
It's got-
this is not good. But I am actually looking forward to whatever their next game is, because the level of work they put into this on the budget they had is they deserve a pat on the back. They did a good job.
All right. Well, I think you just gave them one. Brad, to answer your question, There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension, has a Metacritic score of 90.
Oh yeah, I know. I saw. I posted it in chat.
Boom. All right. Real
That's
quick,
surprising, actually.
I have one game to talk about. I'm not gonna talk about it long because we've already talked about it before. I just hadn't had it. I couldn't really chime in on it last time. And
Oh
I
my
had
god, it's
I-
funny you bringing this up, Nick. But go ahead.
so
I have a sad story to tell.
wonderful. So I haven't had much access to stuff because I've been moving. So I've been playing my Switch when I can, and I am now probably 20 to 24 hours into Paper Mario: The Origami King.
I was playing that game.
You're finally realizing the things me and Brad were talking about.
Well, okay, so yeah, I totally see everything that you guys are talking about in terms of that game. The battle system's kind of perplexing, and it's so repetitive, and
It's either extremely easy or like
Or very hard.
no amount of
Yeah.
math could figure this out.
yeah.
Have you gotten to stuff with ghosts yet, Nick?
Yeah, and that was kind of a neat twist on it, I thought. But like sometimes they'll throw combinations where it's like there's like 8 ghosts, because the ghosts they'll show up, they'll mix up on the grid, and then they'll
disappear.
Yeah, they'll disappear, and then you have to try to remember how to shift the grid around to line them up.
I just take a quick video recording, and then I back out of the game, and I go to my Switch recordings, and I just look at it again.
I do that a lot.
You cheating son of a bitch.
Screenshots and recordings.
You know, I don't know if y'all use the cheer system very much, but if you're ever
Yeah,
stuck on them,
definitely.
I started using that more. I'm getting to the point where a lot of them are.
The problem is, while the cheer system is good, you have to pay the coins for it. And some of the shit in the stores, it takes like, oh, this upgrade item, 30,000 fucking coins, and it's like, holy fuck, dude! Like I have like 28,000, and anytime I'm in a battle and I want to cheer, that's at least a good 500, 700 coins I gotta spend.
Right.
Yeah.
It goes. I'll go back and forth between feeling like I have enough money to do anything to not having enough money to do anything. So, it's weird. But I will say this: the game is super charming, and like the writing is pretty great for the most part. Like so much of the stuff just makes me giggle. Like when I'm playing this game, it's great. I'm getting to the point though where I'm gonna finish this game, but holy shit, there is way more game to this game than there needed to be.
Have you gotten out of the desert yet?
I just did last night. Last night I came home. I had already spent like a couple hours in the desert
Dude,
area.
the desert was
and that's-
fucking ridiculous.
That's the third out of 5 like areas you have to get through, right? For the streamers. And I was like, I already spent a couple hours in the area, so I was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come home. Last night, I had nothing to do last night, really. It was the first kind of night after the move where I was like, I can just chill. So I was like, I am going to finish the desert, and then I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to play the Control DLC. I didn't finish the desert until about 11:45 last night. And that was basically like, came home, ate dinner, started playing.
It's ridiculous.
And I still have 2 more areas to go, and I've been playing this game for 24 hours. And I get it. It's really charming. It's really well written, but oh my God.
People say by the end, I've heard from people who finish this game, and everyone talks about like it makes them cry. And I'm curious as to how Paper Mario is going to make me cry, but it makes me want to finish it.
I haven't finished it yet, but at this point I'm crying because I'm fucking bored.
It's
well, it's not that I'm bored. It's just that the game, like I said, similar to The Last of Us 2, there are just sequences that are way longer than they need to be. Like the desert is so complex and convoluted. They did not need to make it that as complex
but it's also,
as it is.
It's also the kind of thing, like there's a big difference in like the kind of story they're trying to tell here versus something like The Last of Us, in which case where even if an area is convoluted or long, like you always know you're working towards you're invested in something. This is like just lighthearted like I'm not invested in this story. I don't care if you reach the you
will though, Nick.
I'm just not invested the same way I am in something like The Last of Us. Obviously,
this game could really use some nice, fun, vibrant voice acting. Maybe it wouldn't
that
be
would
so boring.
that would probably make it a lot better.
I'll tell you what it could use. Mario could walk faster.
That's true too.
Oh my God!
But Nick, you can go to the central town and you can buy coffee, and it lasts for about 30 seconds.
Oh,
why don't they let you fucking stock up on that shit? It is so dumb.
I've drank coffee like twice. I didn't notice. Was that making me move faster?
Yes, it makes you run faster, but it only lasts for like 30 seconds, and then you can't bring more with you. So I literally don't understand the point of it.
I'm gonna finish this because I've put so much time into it, and I am genuinely like every time I go to an area, like there's some really cool set pieces. Like you go to this like theme park, and you go through a bunch of stuff.
The ninja theme park.
Yeah, you go through a bunch of stuff that's unique to that ninja theme park. Then you go to this desert, and it has its own twists and gimmicks and stuff, and that stuff's really cool, and I like it. And it's charming. It's just like, man, I thought this was like a 15 to 20 hour game, and it's gonna be closer to a 40-hour experience, and that's
probably should be
crazy. It probably should be. It's crazy to me. But yeah,
I'm not probably gonna finish it. Maybe
I like the boss fights. Boss fights are cool.
It.
The boss fights are usually pretty good. Yeah,
where they reverse it, and instead of you being in the center, you're moving from the outside towards the center. Like that's pretty neat.
They're really great. Yeah. So I rented Mario Kart
Deluxe.
So Henry on the Switch, yeah. So Henry could play because they have with Mario Kart you could turn on a thing to where the cart goes by itself and you don't have to hold down a button.
Yeah.
And you can make it to where it like turns by itself pretty much. And it's just really easy. So Henry can hold a controller and even do the tilting to turn, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, this is a fun game for Henry to play for a little while. And he played a few races and he enjoyed it over a few days. And I'm like, all right, time to send this back to GameFly. I threw it in the envelope and I threw it in the mailbox. And I'm like, all right, 13 Sentinels is going to be coming next week. And then I turned on my Switch and Mario Kart's still in there.
No.
And I'm like, what did I send back? And I was like, oh, I sent back Paper Mario, which is also I rented out from GameFly.
Oh, okay.
But now it's like there's confusion and they have to like figure that out. And now there's no way I'm going to be getting 13 Sentinels from GameFly in time. So I'm really sad now.
That's a bummer.
Also, I sent back my copy of Paper Mario, which is also not good. But
hey,
I could just.
I'm gonna stick it out. You know what? 2020 has been kind of a slow year. I want to finish something from this year. I'm gonna finish Paper Mario.
You probably forgot, Nick, but you finished that Resident Evil 3 remake.
I did.
Very forgettable. Understandable that you forgot about it. I did not.
Too. I did not forget about anything, sir. I have a list. I have a spreadsheet. I keep track of this shit. All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 launch strategies and chaos that has ensued in the past few weeks. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Perfect. Welcome back to the
I'm
show,
ready.
everybody. Before we get into this, thanks, Nolan. Do you want to talk about? Do you want to tell your story about the quiz right
sure.
now?
I'll talk about it real quick. So when we did 2000 month, obviously we didn't do a podcast every week. We did an every other week thing. And after our last podcast, I ended up playing more Mega Man Legends 2 because that's a really good game, and I just wanted to play more of it. And so one of the things that happened in that game was I went to a town and I met, like, she was like a teacher or whatever in this town. And she was like, hey, if you pass my quiz, I'll give you like a prize. And so it was like a 10-question quiz, whatever. There's some like really random questions. I take it, I pass it, whatever. And she's like, hey, since you passed that, I'm going to give you an option. Here's your little prize. She gave me just like a little prize. She's like, I have this thing. It's really special. And you can buy it from me for 1,000,000 zenny. For like $1 million, or if you pass my 100-question quiz, I will give it to you for free. Here's the problem. I think it's like there's a potential for, I don't know, like 300 different questions that could be asked in the quiz, and if you mess up even once, you have to start the entire quiz over again.
Oh God!
And these are what's up?
You have infinite tries.
Yeah, you can try as many times as you want, but like it takes like a good, even if you know the answer to the question, it takes a good 10 seconds for each question. And so yeah, I was working with chat. We ended up cheating a little bit, mainly because like there was honestly questions that I truthfully answer because like I know the answer.
Were these
to
like
this.
real world questions? Like real world
Nick? What's
trivia?
the capital of Brazil?
Well, don't ask me that.
Dude,
Where's Greece?
it is like one of the like here. I pulled up the list of some of them. Like Lincoln was which president of the United States? So Nick, Sao Paulo
13?
was one of the questions because it's multiple choice, but it's not Sao Paulo. It's Brasilia. How old was King Louis
Brasilia?
the 16th of France when he was crowned?
23.
Jesus Christ.
He was 20.
Ah.
And what
Start
year?
over.
And what year was Rome sacked?
Oh.
But there's
1986.
yeah, exactly. There's questions like that. There's other ones like this one you actually might know. The Russian author of Crime and Punishment.
Tolstoy.
Yeah, the old Dostoevsky. Yeah, was. But anyway,
Close enough.
Was I wrong?
But I didn't hear what you said. But anyway, like, there's other ones. When was the Pink Floyd album Dark Side of the Moon released?
What?
This is
1970
this is
something?
a question in Mega Man Legends 2.
Right. So does that mean that Dark Side of the Moon is canon in Mega Man Legends?
Yes, it is. Like a Virgin is Madonna's what number album?
What?
My God.
Like just like some of the most random. How many atmospheres can a 30-meter water resistant watch stand?
2.
Okay. Nolan, I want you to tell me right now. Did you do this quiz?
Yes, I did it.
Like,
Any question I thought I knew the answer to, I went with. And if there was a question of I'm 90% sure, I would go to chat, and if they knew, we'd go with that. And then some of them ended up pulling up like a document, and we just kind of went through it because there was no way. I spent like 45 to 50 minutes on this quiz. Like it was not like a 10-minute endeavor.
that's honestly less time than I was expecting.
And so it's just one of those things where like, so if you roll 2 dice, what are the odds that both will come up even?
So-
if you
Never.
roll 2 dice, how many combinations would add up to
25.
8?
It's a Professor Layton
Yes,
puzzle. The
you're
answer
correct,
is
you're
0
correct,
or
Crispy.
1.
Like, so surely this wasn't like an English only feature. Like the Japanese version had to have this too. I can only imagine what the fucking questions were then.
I wonder if they had
They were
different
probably
questions.
the same, right?
No.
No, they're
If
probably
it's all
don't-
world
I mean,
history and geography and stuff.
Japanese
like,
video games from the 90s isn't going to ask about fucking Madonna.
yeah,
No,
that's
or
true.
Pink
But
Floyd.
the funny thing is that some of the questions
said
were
anything about
ridiculously
fucking Madonna.
easy because they were multiple choice, and so one of them was like, "Oh, which of these is not a winter sport? Which of these is a winter sport? Skateboarding, like the marathon." Skiing or like something like really dumb. I don't know. There was some really dumb stuff. Like which of
One of these is not like the other.
like which of these is like a food in Japan? Mount Fuji, origami, samurai, or sushi. It's like some of the most like random shit. Some of them, but then like I said, it's just this difference in like and so one of them was what are computer codes, like what is it called when you write a computer code, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember all like the dummy answers. Yeah, like programming was like the answer, but some of the other options were like, I can't even remember now. Like really dumb. But it's like a really dumb, obvious question, and then like the world's largest waterfall is, and it gives you a list of waterfalls, and like you have to know which one. The problem is when I googled
Angel
it,
Falls?
exactly. That's what you would think, but no, it's this other one, which is actually like number 7 on the actual list. So it's like, I don't know. It's real dumb. How many minutes are there in an hour is one of the questions. How many minutes in an hour?
I know that one.
This game was made in a
Come on, Crispy, I have faith.
Wait, so that's the thing, and so that's what I brought up when we were playing this. Is this game came out in 2000? Google, I think, came out in 2000. Like the Google search engine appeared around then.
So they were just like hot for Google. And
no. Nobody
this was
fucking
like-
knew about Google, dude. Like 99% of their players probably didn't have a computer. It's one of those things where
Google didn't exist.
Exactly.
I have all these memories of me as a child using getting into arguments with my brothers and using the word Google as like some ridiculous number. It's like, oh, I have a Google of them, and it sounds in my memories, it's like such a stupid word, but it morphed into this thing that means something so different now, but it used to be a stupid word. Now it's not.
That's weird. That you picked that
A
word.
stupid random number.
All right.
I want to know the
Are we
story
ready?
behind the creation of this quiz. Like,
There's no time for Savers. We have a lot to talk
We gotta
about.
talk about Xbox and PlayStation. Come on.
We are 2 months now from the start of the quote-unquote next generation of gaming. Microsoft and PlayStation have now both laid all of their cards out for the launch of their platforms. Microsoft came first. Their event was like what was that,
I would
last
say they
week or
came a
something?
little premature, if anything.
yeah.
Well, no, here's the thing. They were supposed to do their event, I think, on the
was
same
the
day
joke,
Sony
Nick.
was. Oh. I see.
Premature
Gotcha. Okay.
annunciation.
Well, for people listening at home who may not know, they were supposed to do their event on, I think, basically the same day as Sony, which was Wednesday, I guess, of this week.
Yeah,
Or no,
yesterday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Was it yesterday? Oh, my God.
Oh, it was
Tuesday,
yesterday.
okay.
No, it was yesterday.
Oh my God! I'm losing track of time. Okay, so they were supposed to do their event the same day. There were some leaks of some of the stuff from that event, and specifically like pricing and the release date. The big things that.
Well, I
they
think
were
the official announcement that there was a second console. That was
Yeah,
always
and
like
that,
unofficially announced, and all of a sudden the price of it got announced, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
by the way,
the Xbox Series S leaked.
a shocking price.
yeah, for
Yeah,
a
okay,
stupid
so-
console.
So their hands were kind of forced, and to be honest, I think Microsoft handled it about as well as they could have.
Sure.
Considering that was supposed to be a much bigger deal, and it ended up just kind of
Their tweets were on point that day.
yeah, they were. So they leaned into the skid and they just made it official. They released all this information about their prices, and I'll just kind of go over the specifics right here. We have two consoles. The Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S, which, by the way,
Not
still the
not going to be
stupidest
confusing at
fucking-
all. No.
No.
Dude, the worst naming conventions I have ever seen.
I
on
understand
any
why
products.
they went in that direction, but it's still a stupid idea.
It's horrible.
It's
They're trying to make it like a iPhone
Like a-
or whatever.
yeah,
like a
that's
cell
what they're
phone,
trying
yeah.
to do.
anytime
but
somebody
that doesn't
mentions
work.
one of these consoles, or even this generation's consoles, like the Xbox One X or the Xbox One, I still have to think for like 5 seconds to try and figure out specifically what they're talking about, and that is not cool, especially when you compare it to like the simplicity of something like PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Like
It's just
the problem, Nick,
obvious.
is Xbox came out and they were like, well, PlayStation and PlayStation 2. We can't call ours Xbox
yeah,
2,
they
so
don't
we have to
wanna
do
copy.
something
They
different.
probably should have though.
But the problem is they went 360. Sure, fine, whatever. You're still doing okay. Xbox 360, whatever. It's kind of weird. But then they go Xbox One. And everyone's
worst.
like, wait, what? Okay,
maybe the
sure.
worst name
So next
console
one's
of
going to
all
be
time.
Xbox 2. No, they just like the problem is instead of copying Sony and just going with Xbox 1, 2, 3, 4, they just kind of go into a random direction. But then instead of even fixing it, they keep turning into the skid harder and making it fucking worse. Like, what are they doing?
What's really crazy is like some of the like the code names they had for their hardware are better than what the actual
Spectre?
names were. Like if they had just called it the Xbox,
Those are dumb too.
What's it?
They
Spectre?
should have called it Xbox 5 and just be done with it.
we're talking about varying degrees of bad names here. They're all bad, but like what they ended up with is just atrocious and hard to remember.
No,
hard to follow.
what was
But
it? What was it
you know,
called?
We're not
It started
here
with
to
an S,
debate
right?
that. Wait, what?
What was it? One of the code names started with an S or something, right?
Scorpio.
Scarlet?
and
Scorpio.
Yeah, Scarlet.
Scorpio or
Xbox
Scarlet.
Scarlet
Like,
would have
those
been
are
a better name.
better than Xbox Series X. Like what?
They want to be like a phone. I mean, that's all it is.
Then don't call it Xbox Series X. Then call it Xbox X. That's better
I
than
think
Xbox
that's what they're
Series
moving
X.
towards. I think that's what they're moving towards. They're just in a really awkward
They,
position.
what they
with their
really
naming.
need to do is put an X in front of it, like it's a fucking MySpace or Zynga name, and have it just be Xbox Series X.
I think,
and then like
I
one
think
of those
their
capital
idea
ones
with by
lowercase.
calling it Series X is they probably thought no one's actually going to use the word series all the time, and that people would just start calling it the X and the S, which is probably what's going to happen. It's dumb, but I mean,
But that's gonna happen naturally.
they just
because
didn't want to be
nobody
one
wants to
number
do that.
less than PlayStation. That's it. And now
Which is
they're
so dumb.
backed into some stupid corner.
It really, I mean, it's so dumb because like
It's not dumb. It makes
doesn't-
sense why they didn't want
it
to be
doesn't
one
matter
number less.
though.
No,
I mean, I guess it matters
The
in the
number
mind of
doesn't
consumers.
actually matter because they never actually use numbers properly. So they could have just called it the Xbox 5.
Sure.
You know, they could have just considered the Xbox One X to be a separate Xbox. It was a mid-gen system, and they should have just called this new one the Xbox 5. And then they could have been parity with PlayStation 5, and maybe people would have been like, you can't do that."
Brad,
But
they
you
should have
can.
just
You can
done
do anything you
Xbox
want.
6. Why not?
well,
just
Xbox 6,
higher than
fuck it.
PlayStation.
Or just
it.
call it the PlayStation 6. That was my joke. Babe.
Well, that was Hard
That was-
Drive's joke.
and that
first
No,
And that was-
no, Hard Drive stole it from me.
All right, let me keep going.
All right.
So we have Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S. The Series X being the physical edition, Series S being the digital only edition, priced at $299 or
Next one sent up.
$299 is
Yes,
a
the
silly
Series
price.
S.
okay.
$299.
I thought I typed it wrong.
Nope.
$299 for the Series S, $499 for the Series X.
But hold on,
so
take
there's
a step back.
$200 price difference.
Take a
there.
step back, Nick. You said that the S is digital only, but that's not the only difference. It is a
There's
much
more.
less powerful
Oh
console.
no, I know.
Yeah, that's
Sure,
the big.
sure.
That's the big news. This
Yeah,
is the
we're
first
getting there.
time we've ever seen something like this.
We're getting there. This is they're taking this.
This is
one
the
step-
equivalent
you
of
know,
launching the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro at the same time. That's what the equivalence of
Yeah,
this is.
but kind of backwards.
That gap
because
is actually a lot bigger, I think.
But yes,
because
correct.
the
The gap
Series
between the
X
two consoles is bigger. Yes. What's up, Nick?
because the Series X is the that's the
That is the
kind of
true
what-
next gen console.
yeah that and the Series S is a I don't know what
It is a
I don't
Xbox
wanna-
Series. Hold on. It is an Xbox One X.5. Let's put it that way. The
Sure.
Xbox Series S is a slightly more powerful Xbox One X.
No, but it's
Right,
not.
with
It's not. In ways, it is. It is not as good as an Xbox One X. In fact, it can't even play some Xbox One. Some things that can run on an Xbox One X, like the enhanced things, because it can't do 4K. So
That's true.
So,
it can't do 4K.
Well,
a One
it-
X can do.
No,
can do 2K.
It won't do native 4K, but it will upscale to 4K.
Yeah, but it's not a 4K machine. An
But
Xbox One X is a 4K
It's designed
machine.
to be a 1440p machine. Is what
I know what
is.
it's designed, but I'm saying,
is-
have we ever seen a next gen system that's like lesser than the previous gen system? Have we ever
no,
seen
I
that?
Not
I
necessarily.
mean, here's the thing. I think calling it a lesser machine is
Not
kind
a
of
lesser machine is not what I meant to say. It's just a weaker machine in some.
It is a less
respects.
powerful machine. In
less
some
powerful
aspects.
machine.
Now that being said,
processor's
it is
better.
a
The
smaller
processor's
form
better.
factor and it is cheaper. So it's not like
Yeah.
they're trying to like sell you a bad piece of equipment. Honestly, for the price it is, sure, why not? I mean,
Some
if
people
it's
don't
a-
want
I
to
mean,
spend
here's
a
the
lot.
thing.
Some
It's
people
a-
don't have 4K TVs. I still don't have a 4K television.
Right, and this is for people who who don't care about whether it's digital or physical. It's for people who don't have 4K TVs, who don't give two shits about 4K.
Yeah, but,
You know,
but here's
like
the
you
thing.
say, if you're
I
still
feel
willing
like
to play
if you're
in-
going to make a system to sell to people who don't want to spend a lot of money on hardware, not having a disk drive in there seems like a weird thing to me, because as I was tweeting about this, but as someone who has been both very young and very poor, both of those kinds of people are the kinds of people who want to maybe go to GameStop and buy like some used games when they're really cheap, or rent games, or borrow games. I still GameFly
Brett,
games.
what
I
I think
can't
they're
buy a system
banking
without a
on-
disk drive because
But
I
game-
GameFly
but-
my games.
hold on,
But
what-
Xbox
Game Pass is what they're banking
Game
on.
Pass,
Is
Yeah, but
people
that's not
getting this
enough.
console.
and we know the value of that.
I mean, yes and no. I think it's a situation where for X number of dollars a month, what is it, 15 for the consoles?
24. Oh, wait, well,
I'm not talking about
so
Ultimate
10,
necessarily.
15, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like $15 for the base version.
For Ultimate.
Yeah, for the console, you get some new games and you get discounts on other games. So I mean, I think that's what they're leaning on, is hoping people
Game
will do
Pass
that.
is a really, really great deal, but it is not in my opinion, not a library replacement or whatever.
I never said
right?
it was.
Because
It's definitely not. And the reason also is you don't always, those games are not yours forever. Games can leave Game Pass.
Yeah.
But some people might not want to buy the Assassin's Creed game when it comes out for $60, but might wander into a GameStop and pick up like fucking Syndicate for $5 or whatever, right? Because that's just how some people play games. And
I was going to bring this up in a few
What?
minutes, but what?
what did Chris Davis say?
Brett,
said
stop
my
clicking
name.
your pin.
Am I
you
clicking
said
a pin?
You picked of
Are
all
you?
games that you could pick up for this example. You picked out Syndicate, and I'm like, that's.
I mean, that's just
I'm talking about an older game that costs very
from
cheap
the same series.
at a used game shop.
But and I was going to bring this up after I kind of got through all of the rigmarole for
Sure.
Xbox and PlayStation. And Brad, you posted this link in Discord earlier, and it was from Cheap Ass Gamer, who was posting their statistics for pre-orders, and I can't remember was for PS5 only, or was that also for the comparisons of
No,
the
it
two
was
Xbox
just
consoles?
it was the two PS5s.
Yeah, it was only the two
Okay, it
PS5s
was
because the Xbox
two
pre-orders
PS5s,
haven't
But there's
started.
some speculation as like I don't know if no one wants to pre-order the digital one or if no one can pre-order the digital one.
Yeah,
From what I read, it's that retailers have said they have less digital ones to sell.
Which is
I
interesting.
mean,
well,
take this with,
when we
like
get to
Brad said,
Sony-
take this with a grain of salt. But the Cheap Ass Gamers statistics were basically saying, if you look at a pie chart of all the pre-orders that went through their system, it was overwhelmingly
like
the
99%.
physical, the more expensive box, overwhelmingly, and there could be reasons for that are out of their control, and that may not even be applicable because it is a bigger price difference too. We're talking about there's only $100 price difference on the PlayStation 5s versus a $200 price difference between the two consoles on the series on the Xboxes. But there's also a few other things that are strange here, and this came out shortly after this reveal from Xbox, but the Xbox Series S, the cheaper
Let's just call them
console,
S and X. Like shouldn't
S
be
and
any
X.
the
easier.
S will not play the free upgraded versions of Xbox One games.
So
I think that's because they're 4K and they can't do 4K.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
the,
it's basically
the
saying
console is not capable of playing the upscaled versions.
right, and
It can't play any
makes-
any discs. Well, we're not talking about discs anymore.
I've heard, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately, and I've heard a lot of people talking about this, speculating that they think the S is going to like actually be the console that sells the most
because the
during
one
this
that's
holiday
cheap
season.
always sells the
Well,
most.
what's going to happen is parents are going to go in, they're getting ready for holiday, and they're like, well, do you want
That's
the
what I'm worried
$300
about.
console or the $500 one? Well, if I buy the $300 one, I can also get an extra controller, and I can buy some digital games. I can buy, a 1-year subscription to Xbox Game Pass, and I can get this, and all of a sudden now it's the same, but look how much extra I've got. So I think a
There are
lot of
gonna be
people are going to go that route.
so many disappointed kids because their parents aren't going to be equipped with with the knowledge that they
don't
need to
necessarily
make
say
an
that.
educated
There's
decision
definitely
about
going to be
this.
kids who are extremely happy to get an Xbox.
Yeah.
Oh no. Sorry. I'm just saying, there's going to be a lot of kids who say, "I want an Xbox Series X." Parents are going to go into a store to find it, and they're going to not know how big the gap is between the two consoles, and they're going to think that going for the $300 system is going to, like, I don't want to sit here and say that kids aren't going to be happy getting a Series S, because of course, plenty of them will be, especially if they didn't already have an Xbox One X or
Nick. It's not just that price. It is the fact that you can get an Xbox for $25 a month.
Yes. That was the last thing, and I think that is maybe out of all of these things that we're talking about between these two companies and these two consoles, that might be the smartest play.
And it's not only that. It's not only that you're getting an Xbox for $25 a month. You're also getting an instant downloadable game library from both Microsoft and EA, because EA is throwing their EA Play in with that.
You get 24 months of Game Pass with your. You get for $24.99 a month for 24 months.
2 years, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You get 2 years of Game Pass, and there's no upfront costs. So essentially, somebody who wants who may not have the $500 to drop right now can start by just paying $25 a month. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, you're basically financing it. And I was kind of like, especially considering Microsoft was forced to go first, I was kind of like half expecting Sony to like very quickly come up with their own version of that and do that, but they didn't. I think that is one of the smartest moves that was made by either of these companies right now.
Well, I think Xbox has to do that, because if they didn't, I don't want to say nobody would buy their console, but I mean, their exclusive list is so small.
Well, I think they're. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like PlayStation is obviously leaning into their library and their exclusives,
because it's kind of a better list of exclusive games.
That's true.
Because I mean, it is a better list. Xbox, I think, is playing it smart by leaning on the value of their console and the accessibility of their console more than anything else, by saying for $25 a month, you can get you have your foot in the door in this next generation of hardware. Mm-hmm. The downside being, like you said, the library is not as good. Even Halo, which was supposed to be a launch title initially, and for obvious reasons, I mean, COVID is kind of throwing everything for a loop. Halo is no longer a launch title. It's not even a 2020 title anymore.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, what exactly are they going to be pushing at launch?
Games that you can play on current gen consoles already.
Yeah, that and the gunk.
I'm
looking forward to the gunk. I mean, I'm going to play it on my PC, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate development.
The delaying of Halo is insane. If they could have put out a $300 box this fall with Halo, I think it would have. I mean, I think that would have been the system that a lot of people would have been buying.
The sales would have been way skewed towards the Xbox, yes, if they did that.
Now they have no fucking chance unless people can't get their pre-orders for PS5. In fact,
well, you say that, but the pre-orders are already all gone. Like at this point, like
no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I'm curious as to what's going to happen.
The people who are going to be buying Xboxes are the people who can't get a hold of a PlayStation.
The crazy thing now is that, and we'll talk about the pre-order situation. Pre-orders for the Xbox open on the 22nd of September at a very specific time. I think it's like 11 a.m. Pacific.
You say that, maybe. Nick. You say that, but I guarantee you, 4 hours, 10 hours before that, fucking Target's going to go live with theirs, and then Walmart's going to go live. It's going to fucking happen.
All right, so let's talk about the PlayStation for a second.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hardware first. It's first of all, Xbox was November 10th.
Yep.
Yeah.
PlayStation is November 12th. Yeah, 2 days later.
Yeah. And we're looking at two consoles once again. Not being the only differences. Well, I guess kind of the main differences here.
There is only a single difference between those two consoles, or sorry, two things: price and whether it can take a disc or not, and that is it.
Right.
Otherwise, they're the exact same powerful console.
Was anybody else here shocked by the price?
Yes.
$4.99.
No,
How much?
$4.99 is
do you
not
think
the
they
shocking
changed
price.
it after Microsoft's?
The $3.99 price is the shocking one. They're taking a huge loss, and it's got to be a reaction to the cost of the S. But like that $100 difference is like not much when you consider that one of them's not actually gimped anymore.
First off, they are making a little. I want to say, like, a lot of people were saying, how could a disk drive can't cost $100? Well, no, it doesn't. They're just making the price points different, and they are making a little more money off the fact that they're selling you a probably $10 drive for $100. So that is helping them make up the difference a little bit.
Is going to go all, you're going to cut out retailers because all software is going to be digital, and they'll make a lot more money that way. And they make their money off software sales anyways. So,
of course.
But it's crazy that you could spend an extra $100 and not have to have a gimped system if you buy
it is
slim.
I will say that the difference between the two consoles also, the S has a much smaller hard drive than the diskless PlayStation 5.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Xbox Series
seems like
S,
a really good deal until
in a world where it's going digital, has a 512 gig hard drive, and that is so small.
Not much.
Yeah, especially when games are getting bigger and bigger. The fuck, Red Dead 2 is like 100 gigs. The Last of Us is
why
like
it's so small probably is because they're going to be selling those expansion drives.
Yeah,
well,
you have to buy. You have to buy an exclusive drive from them. Like, that is so fucking silly. Yeah, and I can't remember how much. It was a ridiculous price too, right? I think it was like $200 for a terabyte hard drive.
Yeah.
We're
$220
we are
for a
talking about
terabyte hard drive.
This is the first generation that's really leaning into or starting to walk down that road of going towards a digital future, right? It's dipping their feet, but like we're getting to a point where ownership doesn't mean the same thing as it used to necessarily. Especially if you decide to say I'm going to do the digital console, ownership no longer means the same thing. I mean, it's already been shifting that way anyways, but suddenly the way you manage your library is totally different. It's going to be like, I can only have like 5 games installed at once. I can uninstall them. I technically still own it. I'll have to reinstall it later.
I mean, I hope people's internet's fast enough.
I hope we don't have a PT situation.
Yeah. I mean, how many games these days, day one, are you not downloading a 100 gigabyte patch practically?
Lately,
you're essentially downloading a whole new copy of the game. That's just
100 gigabytes seems 100 gigabyte patch seems pretty rare.
You're just talking about Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
That was basically downloading the entire like multiplayer, wasn't it?
Half the games that are going to be selling this fucking holiday season are going to be fucking Madden and Call of Duty, and
which
they're
are
going to
like
have those
10
gigs.
Yeah, no, I got you.
A Madden game this year.
We'll get a Madden every year.
So, $4.99, $3.99, November 12th. Mm-hmm. PlayStation Plus subscribers will be getting the PlayStation Plus collection available at launch, which is like basically a fuck ton of, like, as they call it, generation-defining games from the PS4.
Are there some of the best games that came out on PS4? Games on that list, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember like God of War, Uncharted 4,
The Last of Us.
Yes, Days Gone on
Days
that list.
Gone?
Thank you, Brad, for reminding me.
So I'll finally play Days Gone, maybe.
Yes, do it.
Maybe.
Infamous Second Son's on there.
Nolan.
Yeah, there's a bunch of games. Arkham Knight.
There's some good games on
there.
there.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid list, but of course you have to be a paid PlayStation Plus subscriber. It's not a game. It's not like they're competing with Game Pass. It's
Correct.
Just,
but I mean,
the Game Pass
I'm curious.
Is all of their first-party games, day and date, are free at launch.
Well, the thing
that's
is,
the thing that
Sony
won't ever compete with because they make a lot of money selling their games.
Well, because
Speaking
they have a lot
games,
more first-party game, they have like a lot more exclusive games, so they would take a lot bigger of a hit. But what I wanted to say is, I don't know, and I'm sure that data might be out there somewhere. I'm curious how many PlayStation 4, I guess in this case, owners do and don't have PlayStation Plus. I am curious as to what that ratio is.
I don't have
I bet
That's a
it's
good
less
question.
these days because the games they offer for free.
So that's
Although
what I wanted to bring
bet
up
a lot
is-
of people re-upped with Fall Guys.
Yes. A lot of their games in the past maybe 4 or 5 months have not been the best quality. But I mean, once again, it is still free games every month, and obviously, if you're going to do anything online, you have to have PlayStation Plus.
Speaking of games, their showcase, I was shocked. Like, their showcase was basically 40 minutes of game reveals, followed by like a quick oh, here's the price and release date.
Yeah.
Boom. I was expecting to get some maybe our first look at the UI, like the dashboard and stuff. But then again, I thought about it. I was like, Microsoft didn't do that for theirs either, so I guess I'm not totally
That's
sure.
such
Dude,
a
Microsoft
small
probably
quality of
hasn't even
life thing
determined
that's
theirs
not going to happen until probably much closer to launch.
You're true.
We're close to
Those could
launch.
probably still be in flux. The UI could probably still be changing. Microsoft
probably.
better have a fucking good UI because I
They've
was
already
not a
shown
fan
it
of
off.
the Xbox. Have they?
Microsoft already showed theirs off. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I missed it. I mean, the thing is, some of those details, those don't make up which console you buy. No one's going to be like, well, I like the UI better on the Xbox, so I'm going to buy that over the PS5. What I want to know about is how fucking long the DualShock 5 battery's life is going to be.
And how quiet the system is.
Yes.
We're not going to find that out until we have it in our hands.
The fact that they
basically.
have not said that this thing's going to be quiet scares the shit out of me.
because saying it's quiet implies that their current console with that installed, that
Okay.
huge install base has a problem.
No,
and
you
of
should.
course they're
You
not gonna,
should. That's how you sell new boxes.
but they
Retire
don't
the
want to-
jet engine.
They won't do that at they won't do that at the cost of disparaging their current moneymaker. Like, they
Dude,
can't do
the
that.
next generation is all about throwing the previous generation under the bus. It's the whole point.
Yeah, but dude, so much of their money coming in is still going to be coming from PS4 for a long time.
Oh, for a little while, yeah.
No
Let's
one's
talk
not,
about the games though.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's talk about the games though, because they spent 40 minutes announcing shit and showing stuff.
Oh my god, we have so much to talk about. The thing is, this was supposed to be a show where, things were like maybe a little bit briefer.
You're wasting time.
A shorter, more efficient show, and
I'm gonna rattle these off.
It's gonna be a long show.
Just remember, Brad, we're gonna have conversations about all of these games.
All right, rattle
on
off.
future shows.
Give me 10 seconds on Final Fantasy 16. Go.
Final Fantasy 16.
What a fucking way to start the. Holy shit.
Dude,
I mean,
Guys-
it was nice to show that, yeah.
It was cool to see it, but man,
it's good news.
got,
It's good news.
No, it's definitely good news.
At a glance,
that is
it
the-
might not look like good news, but I'm telling you,
that is the
it's good
first.
news.
The
is the
details
first
that were
Final
not
Fan-
revealed in the showcase are the good things about it.
This is the first Final Fantasy trailer I've watched. Being a pretty, I consider myself to be a pretty big Final Fantasy fan. First Final Fantasy trailer I've ever watched where I felt almost nothing.
That being said, I think
you
it was just
rewatched
a
it?
badly cut trailer for what it could have been. I don't think they did a good job showing off Final Fantasy 16.
Why can they not create cool characters anymore? All of their characters are like dude bros now in all of their games. What is going on?
I will say their character models in this game look a little rough.
They look like Final Fantasy 15 characters all over again.
They actually look like Final Fantasy 14
more
characters
than
in a lot of
15.
ways.
I
Like
know,
really,
but like, dude,
really generic,
what happened?
generic.
What
You
happened to
fucking wish. Oh my God.
hyper realistic models.
No, that's not even the problem. I'm talking about just in terms of variety. Like, what the fuck happened to like Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy IX, where like half the characters in your party were like not even human, and the ones that were human, had their own quirks. Like, these just look like dudes.
Well,
Dudes in the world.
well, hold
This
on.
is
So
the
I
first
agree
time
with
I-
you.
what are you
extent,
afraid
I think-
of? Do you
hold
think
on.
there's not
I
going to
think-
be like fantasy races?
No,
in
no,
this
no, no,
game?
no, Brad. I think
No,
I think this is you have to look at it like an anime. I think if you were to right now take out 50 models from Final Fantasy 16 and line them up, I don't think I could pick out the main characters. I'm saying I don't
That main
think I'd be
character
able to
was
pick
generic
out
as-
which ones are the main characters that I'm going to play as because they all look like they could be NPCs. And yes,
You're
I guess
not
that's
wrong.
a little
I
more
don't like the
realistic.
look of the models.
But I like when you have that anime classroom and everyone looks bland and one guy has giant hair or some really weird thing. Like they stick out, like they're supposed to be memorable. What is the Final Fantasy 16 cosplay scene gonna look like? Oh, I put on a
Boring.
jacket.
This
with
is
some
the
frills
cosplay.
on
It looks like fucking cosplay because the models are so generic and realistic. That's
Okay.
my problem. I talk a lot of shit about Final Fantasy 14 character models because they look like PlayStation Home characters in cosplay, and this
I
kind of
prefer
looks the same.
I
little
prefer
bit.
the look of Final Fantasy 14 characters to this.
Sure. Wait. Well, I mean, they're why? It's the same shit.
All right.
the
Anyway,
same stuff.
there is some good news behind
yeah,
this.
there's a lot of good news here. That's the
there's
thing.
good
I mean,
news.
if you focus on just the way the characters look, that's one thing. But the important thing is it's the return of medieval fantasy and like politics. This is a lot of people from Final Fantasy 14 are working on this. You know, the one that everyone says is the best fucking Final Fantasy game in a decade or two. You know, now they're making a single player Final Fantasy, and a lot of that stuff is carrying over. It's all about like medieval politics and stuff. All the people who are working on this game like grew up loving Yasumi Matsuno games. If you like Final Fantasy Tactics and Vagrant Story and Final Fantasy 12 or whatever, this is like
I'm not saying that won't be there. I'm
this
saying,
is the Final Fantasy for you people, except maybe with less Star Wars.
Everybody sits here and tells me they think I don't like fantasy, but like it's just not the same kind of fantasy I was hoping for. Like I've been wanting a return to like Final Fantasy 9 style fantasy for so long, and this
you
is
keep
and
saying
this
that, but like the funny thing is, Final Fantasy 9 was just it was just Sakaguchi saying, "I'm gonna make a throwback." Like it wasn't even its own. It was 9 in and of itself was a throwback to like the fucking NES era. You know,
why can't there be another throwback then?
you
Like,
want a throwback to a throwback? What?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, okay. Here's the other thing.
You
like,
want chibi characters? Is
I
that
like
what it
Final
is?
Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy first and foremost because I love the fantasy worlds they create, and I love. But like nothing about the world that they showed in the
Because
trailer
it's
got me
fucking
excited.
war and medieval politics. But
I
I'm
like-
telling
dude,
you,
Final
the
Fantasy 12
fantasy is
has been-
gonna. What
They
about like
didn't
the
show anything of the world. Like,
Yeah, they showed
know,
like
yes,
what seemed
but
like a
that's the
single
disappointing
castle
part.
with
it
maybe
was
a
just
fight
like a
going
sizzle
on.
reel to set up a basic conflict.
It wasn't a great
wasn't-
trailer. It
I
wasn't a
just
great
watched
trailer.
it again. It's like nothing.
I know, and that's like I remember the first time I watched
Armored
I know Final Fantasy
chocobos.
13.
Hold on.
I know we don't
Brad.
talk
We've
about
seen
Final Fantasy
armored
13.
chocobos before. As
In the
shitty
good
of a
games.
game. Hold on. As shitty of a game that Final Fantasy 13 was. When
That trailer was magical.
When
That
the
first
baby
trailer was
fucking
fucking
chocobo
magical.
pops up on his shoulder, it's fucking exciting. You don't get that in this. You don't get anybody with like a big hat or like some giant sword or some crazy weapon. It's just like, oh, he looks like he has got a
Look,
sword.
this
and
was not a
armor.
good trailer, but I'm saying you can glean a lot from this trailer.
I know.
And one, it's
I'm
not.
excited.
I mean,
I'm just-
the
I'm
thing
gonna
is, I
play
think
it.
what people want is the weird like shit that people ended up hating in the bad ones.
Maybe.
Okay, we need to move on.
We shouldn't move on yet because there's a big aspect of that trailer we didn't talk about,
What?
Okay.
like the combat system.
Yes,
It's like
the combat-
Devil
Okay,
May
dude,
Cry
do
now.
you know
How do
how-
y'all feel about that?
Do you know how many times we're gonna have how many opportunities we're gonna have to talk
Well,
about
okay.
battle
Quick,
system
quick
in Final
thoughts
Fantasy
on the
16?
fact that it plays like Devil
It
May
look-
Cry now.
I mean, it reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy 15.
I
which,
looked at
again,
I
not
looked at it
super
and I was like,
excited
"This
about.
is 15 combat. What are you talking about?"
Okay,
I
well,
mean, 15 was action oriented and it was faster paced.
something about the combat designer from Capcom who worked on the combat of Dragon's Dogma and Devil May Cry.
Yes.
That
That is
Sorry,
exciting.
that's cool.
is a fucking plus. So.
If we can get some Dragon's Dogma combat in Final Fantasy 16, goddamn, that'll be fucking good.
That would be awesome.
Could you imagine like scaling like some of the Final Fantasy creatures and like giant dragons and fucking
Shiva.
chopping off Marlboro
A
tentacles
giant
or some shit?
tonberry? You're just
Yeah.
climbing up this tonberry?
A giant tonberry.
Giant cactus.
I'm gonna watch that trailer again tonight after this podcast because maybe I'm just being a fuddy
But look,
duddy.
The cacti, just
it's hard to
using the-
glean a
the
lot
tines.
from that trailer, but it's definitely a sign of. And you look at the people working on it, that it's going
I'm
in
just
the direction
I'm just saying.
that we don't
I started
actually
this-
want to drive a car around a boring game.
I'm just saying. I started this conversation by saying I felt nothing, and because every Final Fantasy game, even the ones I'm not a huge fan of, like 13, when I watched a trailer for it, it like still made me feel something. Like that Final Fantasy 13 trailer was one of my favorite E3 memories
Well,
ever.
you know what, Nick?
Nick,
Maybe
it's,
the
my
next
it's okay. It's okay to not feel something the first time you see the thing.
maybe the
That's
next
not, like,
trailer will be
it's
the one
okay.
that's for you.
I know.
Stop looking
Let's
for
move on.
emotional validation in trailers for video games, Nick.
All right, Spider-Man Miles Morales. They showed some more gameplay of that.
Yeah,
More
looks
Spider-Man.
like
Phenomenal, I think.
One
I mean,
complaint: there's a lot of like generic hip hop like infused into like the music. I guess that would have been in the last Spider-Man game, and I feel like look, this game has a lot to live up to coming off of Spider-Verse, and I like the music in this in the kind of sucked in my opinion, but I feel like the music needs to be good. I mean, it needs to
honestly,
be
if
more
you
than
compare
like
anything
generic
to this-
beats on top of Marvel
you're asking
cinematic
for trouble
universe
comparing,
music.
You're asking for trouble comparing music to the soundtrack for Into the
No,
Spider-Verse.
I know, but like that's what we're going off of now. I mean, we live in a post Spider-Verse world.
Yeah.
That's true.
Listen to that trailer again. The music was bad.
I need to go back and rewatch it. I will say this: it gave me it. This is gonna sound corny. It gave me chills a few times, like the same kind of chills I get watching a really good Spider-Man movie.
It's fine to be excited about Spider-Man. I'm sure it's going to be a good game.
I'm just saying, like, because of the heroics, like the heroic moments where he's like saving all the people on the bridges and shit. Like, it gave me chills. Like the same.
And I'm sure those moments will be great.
And that
I've
I
just
can't
seen those so
wait.
many times before in
And
every
it's-
Spider-Man thing.
You're right. But like, it works. It works. And that game was the game that this is building off of was phenomenal. So, and I'm so happy we're getting more of it this soon, honestly. So this is obviously just something that's gonna, tide people over until the full sequel, which kind of sucks because I think Miles Morales deserves a full fucking. I hope this game isn't like 4 hours long. That's what I really hope.
I'm sure it'll be of Lost Legacy kind of quality.
I hope so.
And
At least.
Yeah.
You probably got a
Okay.
good 20 to 30 hours in it.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, let's move on.
I was like, that seems a bit much, but let's move on. All right. Hogwarts Legacy was finally unveiled. It's funny going into this thing. I know there's a lot to unpack here, and there's a lot to discuss, and a lot of controversy here, for obvious reasons. I will say this: going into this event, I had completely forgotten about this, even though it's been kind of in the back of my mind as like one of my most anticipated announcements ever. So when it started playing the trailer, I was like, just fucking floored.
How did y'all feel about what we saw?
Dude, honestly, it looks like exactly what I want from a Harry Potter game.
It's going to be one of those things where it depends on how it plays, kind of type deal. I could see them. I could see it easily being a very kind of generic and boring game, or I could see it being good. I don't know.
I think honestly it's gonna come down to the world and how well they've like
Developers kind of
captured-
unproven, so that gives me pause. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, this is obviously their biggest budget project they've ever been given.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
I
have
will
had a
rent it.
long ass time to work on it.
I will rent it and watch Malia play it. I probably won't play this game.
I am very much looking forward to it.
I went back and watched the that leak trailer from a couple of years ago. Like a lot of the beats and what they show in that is directly in this new trailer. Like it is. It feels like
It
this
looks
is
like
just something they
a lot of
put
the same
away for
footage,
like
yeah.
a month.
I mean, they've been working on this game for quite some time.
Yeah.
All right. They
Kind of
showed
makes
Call
you
of
wish
Duty
it came out like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2
Yeah,
years ago would have
for-
been the perfect
for-
time for this to come out.
Yeah.
for a number of reasons. Now
Thanks,
it's just
Joanna. Or
now it's
whatever
just
fucking
awkward.
name is.
I don't even know.
WB is already putting
Okay.
already on fire control about
real
that
quick.
right now.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, but I think
It's
I want to have a bigger conversation about this later because Crispy and I have talked about some stuff, and I think there's some things that we can do to. We'll talk about this.
I think when that game comes out, it'll definitely be a
all
big
these articles coming out
topic
saying
of
things about
conversation.
saying don't worry, her involvement in this game is she's not involved, and it's like, dude, she may not be involved, but she fucking owns this property.
She's like,
She owns it. Like there is no world in which she is not receiving royalties for every copy of this game that's sold. Even
yeah,
though
it's
she's
like
not at the
it's
studio.
like they say that like we all expected her to like be in the fucking office like programming a video game every day.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's weird. It's like look, like I'm gonna play this game, and I'm there's part of me that feels bad about that, but there's also
Okay, I'm
like,
probably
part
gonna
that's
play it too. To be honest, like I
Question.
kind of do want to play it, but
I know
like,
I know we're kind of on a we don't want to go down too much road,
Definitely.
and I know Crispy has to leave before we probably get to the end of this podcast. But I have a question about this. Do you think to combat JKR, they're gonna put like maybe some like transgender characters or maybe some stuff like that in the game?
I don't even know what would happen if they did that.
That would be something.
Like, is that okay? I don't know.
Or
Yeah,
if
like
they-
the final boss of the game should just be J.K. Rowling.
Okay, that went a different direction than I thought.
Banish her to the Shadow Realm or something.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
Crispy, we already saw J.K. Rowling in that trailer. She was the giant fucking troll.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. There we go.
That was Rowling.
I just want people to know. I just want people to know, and we are conscious of what's of everything surrounding this game, and I think there's some things that we can do just on a very small scale. That we might talk about later.
Yeah, if they have like a character. Oh God, never mind.
There's
not
the
gonna-
character
let's
creator.
Uh-oh.
They
Slippery
showed
slope.
the character
Slippery
creator in that
slope.
leaked trailer from 2 years ago.
All right. Next game. They showed more Deathloop, which I feel like I finally have an idea what that game is.
I feel like I'm the only person crazy excited about that
I
game.
am excited
gonna
for
be
Deathloop.
good.
I was looking at everyone's reactions on Twitter, and like no one was talking about Deathloop. At the end of the show, everyone's like listening to all. They're like, "Oh my God, Harry Potter and Final Fantasy, blah blah blah." Nobody cares about Deathloop, and it's sad
For
because I think
two
it looks
reasons.
great.
One, it's been a known quantity for a while, and two, it was delayed. I don't know. It just wasn't. It doesn't
But
have
it
the
looks
newness
so
of Final Fantasy 16 or Harry
Like-
Potter.
The problem
looks-
is they put
okay.
out like 5 trailers.
But we haven't
for the
seen
games they announced.
like a real stretch of gameplay like we saw.
Yeah.
I
Last
know
time,
that's what I needed right
Like
there.
a
What they
real,
showed the
like
other
a
day
real
is what I
bite
needed.
of the loop, you know?
And so it appears that like it's kind of like a roguelike, right? Where if
Also-
you fail, you have to start the whole thing over again. But every time you have to take out I guess the goal is to take out all 8 of the targets in the game in one run,
life.
right?
Yeah.
While you're also being hunted by that other. I don't know if that's a player-controlled character or if that's AI or if it's
So
Player
you can
controls.
play the game single player as the guy, but there is an invasion mechanic to where somebody can take over the rival assassin.
That's cool. I think that's a really cool idea.
cross-player.
This game looks. I think this game looks sick. I'm just glad that I finally kind of have a feel for like how the loop works.
Play Mooncrash. It's Prey Mooncrash
Yes.
with an invasion mechanic.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. I am.
No, I'm
way
saying
more
if you're
excited about
curious or excited about Deathloop, look into that because Prey Mooncrash, by all accounts, is supposed to be pretty fucking sick.
But not only
Yeah,
that, but they're
I have
taking a
heard
look
that.
at like the systems from Dishonored to where how you manipulate characters into doing certain actions and going to certain paths and everything. So I think what
and you have to memorize those things so that you can do it. You can trigger it every time you try and do the loop.
Yeah, what's going to be really cool about the game is that eventually you're going to get to a point to where you know how to structure events and how to process through the game to where you can get all 8 targets into one area and just take them out just like that.
But
Like
Demon
that's the
Souls,
ultimate
though.
kind of like gameplay goal, I think.
But Demon
That's-
Souls, though.
Looks pretty
Demon
fucking good.
Souls looks fucking dope.
Honestly, it looks
Souls looks
it looks
rad.
better
I
than the
don't care.
last time we saw it. It looks like
Yes.
it's
I don't
come
care
a
what
long
you have to
way.
say. I don't care what Jaeger has to say. It looks awesome.
No,
I think
look,
it looks amazing.
I've sort of been wrestling with this, obviously, because I've been like, watching old like Demon Souls footage, like, it's atmospheric, the echo of the footsteps, and it's so dark you could barely see 10 feet in front of you. And I've been like, I've sort of lightened up a little bit on that a little bit. I was pretty like bullish when it came to Shadow of the Colossus, but that had a remaster that came out in the previous gen, and it felt unnecessary. Here, it's been a long time since Demon Souls. It's not going to be
What was
the
that
same.
like 08?
It's not going to look the same. It's not going to be the same. But like, I think it's been long enough to where I'm probably fine just to play this new thing, even though it looks pretty different. Even though I have issues with some of the hit animations and sound effects and stuff. But whatever. It still the environments look fucking great. I bet that lighting's going to be nice. You know?
I thought it was. As someone who I know how Souls games look and feel and sound and everything. I just thought it was kind of strange that like the bulk of the presentation for Demon Souls was like this dude just doing this like steady run through the environment, one-shotting dudes.
Yeah,
until he got
which
to
is
a
not what
boss and then
happens
got
in Demon
fucking-
Souls, but that's probably for the sake of the footage time, the
Yeah,
timing
no,
of the
it was-
footage. They
it was-
wanted to
yeah,
get to that boss, but
But it's
know.
more
I don't
than
think that quite did it justice. Like it didn't do the intensity of combat in a Souls game justice because
it's not.
usually
It-
you're like scared to
Yeah.
attack anything.
also, the kinesthetics weren't there.
Well,
It's different.
Brad.
It's different. I'm
I
okay
think
with it being
a really
different.
big part of that trailer, the point of that trailer, was to emphasize the SSD loading times, because there is a point where he goes to a bonfire and is instantly teleported to a brand new area. No loading.
I thought that was
screens
just
at
a
all.
fade. I thought that was like a fade in the video.
I think they're trying to show that it's going to be like pretty much that quick.
Yes.
Is what they're
But
implying.
he didn't even
at
go
least.
he didn't even go into a menu.
There's
Anyways,
a load screen. I
Demon's
watched
Souls-
a side-by-side comparison of those two, what they look like in both games. And there's like load screens in the original Demon's Souls at some point. And I mean, sure. I don't know if that's what they're showing off or anything. I just think they want to.
The
make
important
game
thing
look
here
pretty,
is that
but-
this confirmed that Demon's Souls is a launch title, along with Miles Morales.
Which is the big
Those
deal.
two games alone, I think,
Well,
make...
it didn't say launch title in that trailer. It was confirmed elsewhere after.
It said
they're both
PlayStation
launch
5
titles.
exclusive, but it didn't. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
it didn't say launch title in that footage.
They are
It's
both
conf-
confirmed as launch titles. What are we
No,
talking about? Demon's
just-
Souls is
I'm
a
just-
launch title.
I know. I'm just saying it's not in that fucking trailer.
All right,
I
that's
don't care about the
a
trailer.
silly
I'm
thing to get hung up on. Let's move on.
Also, one more
Sony
thing
has
about
confirmed
that is that in the reveal, it said that there was a PC version coming for this as well, and
That's
then they
been removed.
retracted that. But I think that's
'Cause
still a thing.
Of course, they're just not supposed to
It'll
talk about
happen.
that one
Yeah,
yet.
I just don't
Yeah.
think
They're
it's
not supposed to
yeah.
talk about that one yet.
Yeah.
It's a timed exclusive, and they don't want people
Sure.
to know about the PC
Sure.
version yet.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing with. There was another game up here. It was. I think it was Spider-Man also. I don't.
No, it wasn't
I
Spider-Man.
think yeah, it wasn't Spider-Man. That's definitely an exclusive.
Do you
see,
know
and then,
why Sony has cool launch games and Xbox doesn't? It's because instead of trying to put out their big, new, huge, important first-party game that has to be fucking amazing or they're donezo like Halo, they're putting out a remake and a kind of full game. And you know what? That's probably the kind of stuff you should be doing for a launch.
Yeah. I mean, I'm personally more excited about this launch than I have been for most. I mean, usually when I get a launch console, like there's like I think, well, you know, Switch had Breath of the Wild. That's
No, it
Maybe-
didn't. That was a Wii U game, remember?
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
But
But
I mean,
launch
it
with the
did,
Switch.
but like it had been in development for so long on
Yes.
a previous system, it was just ported up.
yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know.
Mario Odyssey came out pretty soon, though.
The thought of playing
That was
Demon's
a
Souls
crazy
remake and
launch.
a sequel to
I
Spider-Man,
know,
which
I know.
looks epic on launch day, it's you know, I can't remember many launches that have had something that was that enticing. And then the last game surprise, I think there was they showed a new Five Nights at Freddy's, Oddworld, but like the last bit they closed with.
I think Resident Evil
the
8 still
announcement
looks.
that God of War
Some
2
people see if Crispy's got Deathloop, I got Resident Evil 8. I feel like that's when every time I see it, I'm like, oh, dude, this is gonna be so
Resident Evil
fucking
8
good.
looks sick.
be
I
good.
thought
But no
the weird
one's
thing about this was
talking
that
about it. Everyone's like, whatever.
they showed the trailer with like nothing new to like actually. I thought they were gonna show like they were gonna announce
like-
VR compatibility,
Oh, yeah.
or
But I
show a
mean,
release date or something.
All
But,
that
like,
shit with like the woman telling like the bedtime story and stuff.
Oh,
I'm
that's cool.
interested
That's
in
dope.
where that's going. If that's just going to be some random like
were
just
they
story
teasing
moment.
a merchant at the end?
Werewolves.
Maybe.
What
The
about
Are they
very
teasing
end of
what?
that trailer, I think they were teasing a merchant.
they were?
I wouldn't
Yeah,
be
yeah,
surprised.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a castle, dude. This is like Resident Evil 4 through and through.
I know it looks cool.
But with
it looks like
werewolves.
Resident Evil 4 and 7
snow.
having a baby sounds fucking amazing, and I can't. I'm
gross.
all there for it. I just really want them to fucking confirm VR support. And yeah, but the last big surprise, or I guess not surprise really, but like they closed by confirming what everybody already knows is that God of War 2 is in development, and apparently it's coming out in 2021. I'll believe it when I see it, but just knowing that, it exists.
That seems no way.
And it's called
Yeah.
Ragnarok.
Yeah,
No,
God
it's
of
Well,
War.
they hinted Ragnarok in the first game. That Ragnarok.
I think
was
the
big
implication
event
is
that was
it's gonna be-
coming, yeah.
Oh, I thought
I
the
think
end, it
it's-
looked like it was called Ragnarok, but it was just Ragnarok is coming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
no, I
game
mean,
doesn't
yeah, but I
have an
think-
official subtitle yet. It's being called a new God of War title.
But
But we
I
know
would be
it's-
shocked. Would be shocked if
Also,
Ragnarok is not
you
the
know,
subtitle.
as a one more thing surprise, it's like, yeah, we know God of War is coming.
Hey, it's good. It's good to see.
I guess the
It's just-
2021 is surprising, but no way.
It's a good. It's a good thing to just know. to like, okay, it's out there. They've put it out there. We know they're working on it officially now. That's
the last
good.
one ended on a literal tease for more.
Yeah.
So
I know. I'm just saying it's nice. It's nice
Sure.
reaffirmation.
I mean, if anything, it reminds people like, oh yeah, this is why I want to get the PlayStation because first
Oh,
party.
that's
titles I care
100%
about.
why they did it. 100% they were like, hey, by the way, PlayStation 5 is going to be cheap, and we have God of War, which Xbox doesn't. That's 100% why they did that.
yes,
2 surprises. They didn't show any Horizon.
Yeah,
they showed it for
And
half
God
a
of War-
second.
And I know, at the very beginning during the montage. And then God of War saying 2021. Like, what the fuck? I don't believe it. Also,
Yeah, there's no way.
Horizon Forbidden West is apparently also going to be available on PS4.
So
I didn't see that
Spider-Man.
coming.
No, so
So
here's
Spider-Man.
the thing
Spider-Man
about
will
that.
too.
Well, no, but here's the thing: is that Horizon is getting the cross-gen treatment, but it doesn't have a release date. But God of War is not, and it launches next year. So my question,
I mean,
if you're
Horizon is
factoring
next
in
year. We
launch windows, like, is Horizon 2 a 2021 game, and we just don't know yet?
Yeah, no. They've already
Yeah,
said
it's
as much.
2021.
When they first showed it, they said 2021.
They said
I will buy you the
Yeah.
best hot dog in Austin if God of War comes out next year. It's not gonna happen. There's no way.
I'll take it, Brad. I'll take that
is
bet.
the best hot dog.
Mark
in
it down,
Austin.
chat.
Mark it down.
That's a good question.
Brad's
Who does
gonna
have
take
the
me
best
to
hot dog in
Frank
Austin?
when it's
No,
over.
Frank's dead.
Frank's
Is it?
gone.
Frank's been dead for like a year.
Really?
Dude, Frank's gone.
Yeah, the guy owning
think
it got
worst-
arrested for tax evasion.
Yeah, I think best worst. Well, no. Bangers is.
Are y'all gonna buy me
pretty
hot
good.
dogs when I'm right?
banger,
though?
banger in the mouth.
That's part of this deal.
Bangers
I get
on,
hot dogs if I'm right.
on Rainy Street, but you gotta go to
Bangers.
Rainy Street.
Ugh, Rainy Street.
But Bangers is pretty good. They do a bunch of in-house sausages.
I like Rainy Street.
Of course.
Has
you do.
anybody been to Jew
You
Burger?
would. You're fucking yuppie.
Right?
I was waiting for that. All right. That's. I think that pretty much covers both
Sonic-
events. Can we just talk real quick for 1 second about the fucking pre-order situation? Because what the
Yeah,
fuck
that was a
happened
cluster and
to
a half.
Sony's promise? Sony's
Dude,
promise.
it
that they
is
were, that we would have
COVID-19.
printed
Well, it's not.
headsets.
It's not Sony
which-
that did it. Sony didn't do anything. It was the other
the
retailers
retailers,
who
but,
were like, "Switch, bam, there it goes."
But like, you got to wonder, like, why have they not done? Why is fucking Microsoft is somehow holding on to their release date for pre-order?
Well, so first off, we never had a release date for the PS5, or sorry, a pre-order release date until last night's event. They were like, "Hey, pre-orders go live tomorrow." That was the first time we heard about them.
I know, but like at that first event when they first announced the PS5, there was a Q&A with the developer.
No,
where he said,
I understand
he
that.
said-
I understand that. And he did let us know before they go live. He let us know that pre-orders are going live the next day. The thing is, Sony doesn't control Walmart or Amazon or Best Buy. They
I know.
just give them consoles to, or they technically
It's all on the
the
retailers.
retailer has to buy the console to sell it. But whatever. Anyway, because those people didn't do it, whatever, they wanted to be the first one. I don't know. Whatever, they jumped the gun. Xbox is claiming that's not going to happen, but I guarantee you it's going to fucking happen. I guarantee you retailers are going to jump the gun and
retailers-
sell them before the 22nd at midnight or whatever they say.
Yeah, the retailers are essentially saying we're gonna risk whatever punishment Sony is gonna give us by pulling the trigger early, knowing that everyone else is gonna follow suit, and Sony's not gonna like.
Yes,
'Cause
and I agree with Cleft.
if only one
Amazon was
if
like
only
the
one retailer
the
did
one
it?
that waited to do their pre-orders, and it seemed like they waited till technically the 17th or whatever. What's up, Nick?
If only one retailer said "fuck it" and sold the pre-orders, they would probably not be reallocated.
Yeah.
They would probably be moved to the bottom of the list as far as priority goes, and they would get fewer consoles, and their business would suffer as a result.
So the thing,
But because everybody did it, Sony's like, well, we can't punish them all.
It's only going to get worse, y'all.
the
Look,
thing about
I
Amazon-
bought the very first pre-order that I saw was available, and I don't even know if I want this fucking thing because of COVID, both supply and demand are going to be way higher than normal, supply is going to be way lower and demand is going to be way higher than normal.
Sony did come out and confirm, or not confirm, but like according to them, they say there's going to be more PS5s at launch than the PS4 had at launch, which is promising. But like you said,
I think it's
demand
gonna
is going to be a lot
Wii-
higher.
I think it's going to be a Wii situation. I mean, PlayStation 4 was coming off of PS3. This is going to be a little different, I think.
All right, we need to move on because we have some community stuff to go over before we wrap up the show. I know Crispy has to bounce in a couple minutes. Do you want to say some final thoughts or do a 4-player minute?
I can
kind of off the
4-player
books.
minute real quick.
Okay.
Go for it.
My first.
Are you gonna wait? Chris Davis, are you gonna try the thing?
Your 4-player minute starts now.
Oh no, I'm on the clock. I'm super hyped for Baldur's Gate 3, which the early access begins on the 30th, which is in like 13 days, which I can't help it. Like, I'm gonna play it even though it's early access. I don't know. I'm also super hyped about Deathloop. I kind of honestly, I do kind of forget about that game, and then every time we see it, I'm like, oh, that's right, I'm crazy excited about this dumb game. And having seen a bit of the gameplay loop, as it were, during the Sony conference was super cool. My fuck you goes to fucking J.K. Rowling. Just she know what she did.
20 seconds.
And my
doesn't care apparently.
I'll do it. I got the new D&D module this week that came out on Tuesday. Came in the mail yesterday. It's really cool. Started reading it. It's amazing. Really hyped about it. Love it.
Sweet. Yeah. Damn, Crispy, look at you. You got it.
Nice.
Tell me about Batman.
You just
one of our first 4-player minutes.
About Batman?
What?
Fucking. I just heard Brad say Batman.
I
assume he's taunting me.
I was trying to get you to go past the timer.
Anyways.
All right. I'm gonna
thank
leave,
you, Crispy.
Guys. I love you all.
Bye, Crispy.
Love you
Have a good
too.
night, everyone.
Thanks for being here. Bye.
Hey, I started watching that Harley Quinn show.
That's pretty good.
I'm just kidding. Go.
What?
He's just trying to mess with you, Crispy.
He's just trying to keep you here. Like a little bitch.
All right.
You can leave, but don't leave the call.
Bye, buddy. Wait, what?
You can leave, but don't leave the call. It's going to mess up all the cameras.
Wait, he's going to have to. You're just going to have to position shit.
He could turn off his camera.
Yeah, that's fine.
And your mic, please. And stop your Audacity recording, please.
Oh my God! Stop your Audacity recording. Oh my God!
He didn't.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Somebody message Crispy right now and tell him to.
He's gonna have a 5-hour.
He's already
file.
jerking off.
Please tell him. Please, someone message
I'll
me.
text
All right.
him.
While he's doing that, I'm gonna move into community segment. We're gonna be answering. For the sake of time, we're gonna be answering about 3 questions a week. Going forward, but of course we are always accepting questions from our subscribers on Twitch and supporters on Patreon. There is a Google form pinned to the top of the supporters channel in Discord. You can find the link there if you want to leave your question. I'm going to be bouncing around, so reading some questions that are older, some newer questions. If there's more time on future shows, we'll answer more questions, obviously. But it's been a bit of a show this week. So where is my tab? Maybe Nolan should have this.
I have it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have it ready.
Okay, cool. Take it away,
We're
Nolan.
doing questions?
Yeah, you have the,
All right,
you
yeah.
see the
First
questions I
question
put in
from
the-
Zero
okay.
Skies.
Yeah.
What are your expectations of a truly next-gen game? What will it do that a current-gen game can't in gameplay?
Well, I mean, the faster loading is the thing,
I think
right?
faster
But-
loading is going to be one of the bigger things, and I think that is going to an extent, kind of change how the games are developed. And so you might have a different thought process behind developing a level, knowing that you can load things so quickly. And one of the things that got brought up by, what was his name? Dana Carvey or something? When they did
Dana Carvey, that's
Dana Carvey, from the PlayStation event.
I get that reference now.
Was one of the things he talked about, and it's a fascinating thing to me, but it's the fact that the communication between the game and, it be it the RAM or the SSD hard drive is so quick that you can load in and out assets when a player's not looking at them. So generally, when you load a game, you load the entire level, drop the player in if they run around. But in theory, it can load things so quickly, when you're looking straight, it can unload the things that are behind you so that they're no longer
it's essentially
loaded.
only loading what's in your cone of vision.
Kind of. Conceptually, it's
Anything
capable
outside
of that.
yeah.
Now, granted,
That's
that being
crazy.
said, if the assets are large enough, I'm pretty sure that won't be possible. But it's still an interesting concept, and I'm interested in seeing how they kind of incorporate that into games and either make larger or maybe smaller levels that are just like instant. Could you imagine something like, Brad, think of something like VVVVVVV. Like when you die in that game, or Super Meat Boy, instantly reload. But think of that now in a 3D, like either third person or first person game, dying and fucking instantly being back. Do you realize how less frustrating Dark Souls or Souls would be if you die in an instant?
Remember Bloodborne? That was awful in Bloodborne.
Yeah, like just that. Now I fucking dead, so I gotta sit and I gotta wait for it to load, and I gotta look at my reflection in the dark screen of the TV and feel like pathetic because I died. Blah blah blah. But now it's just gonna be a fucking instant back into it. That's gonna be like
I think
like
the name of the game. Mm-hmm. The name of the game for this generation is going to be convenience and I mean, yeah, it's going to be that quality of life stuff that you take for granted right now, probably because you just didn't know what was possible until you realize, oh shit, I have like practically no downtime in any of these games because the shit's just so fast. I mean, obviously there's going to be a step up in visuals and like Conundrum in chat asked if new consoles are going to have ray tracing. I think PS5 and Xbox have both confirmed their games are going to have ray tracing. Or, it's
the
on a
ability
game-to-game
to
basis,
have
but
game
it's capable
tracing,
of it.
yes.
Yeah.
But no, one of the things I wanted to bring up is like even on like PCs, because obviously you have to design a PC game to run on a fucking 20 gig, 540 RPM or 5400 RPM hard drive, as well as like an M.2 SSD. Wasteland 3. Holy shit, Brad, when you talked about that game, you did not talk about how bad the loading is in that. It is ridiculous.
I thought I mentioned it.
Maybe you didn't. I just missed it because I ended up downloading the game and I fucking run off. I have a good SSD. It's a nice Samsung Evo. Yeah, it's pretty fast. But even when I do my load, oh my god, like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, like that game was not even that intense. Like it is clearly an example of just a very poorly optimized game. And the hope is when a developer is, especially if it's like a console exclusive game, they automatically know the hardware that they're developing it for. So something like, Spider-Man, hopefully, but it's cross-gen, obviously. But that's kind of one of the things I'm hoping for. Anyway, we spent a lot of time on that question.
Yeah. For me...
Next question.
Can I just throw in?
Yeah, definitely.
For me, the two things that are going to be big are the ray tracing and specifically reflections in environments. Like, how... you can count how many games have come out this generation, on one hand, that have accurate mirrors going on for characters.
Not many.
And but with ray tracing, like that enables it to be.
There's a lot of good side-by-side comparisons of like ray tracing and like accurate.
I can't wait
in
to
water
spread my cheeks and look at my butthole in the mirror.
Yeah. and
as
wow.
As Haiti.
As Haiti, yeah. Next gen Haiti confirmed. And the other thing for me was, I know that open world games have just become such a staple of everything these days, but density of those worlds, I think, is going to be an important thing. I was listening to a Giant Bomb talk about Spider-Man and what they were expecting of the new hardware and what they could do with that. And one of the things they threw out was, what if you're at the top of a skyscraper and you can look down the ground and you see more players, or more NPCs, more events going on, and you have a much smaller or much larger draw distance to work with. Like, pop-in could theoretically become a thing in the past.
So that's going to be, and once again, that's a developer thing. A developer can try and make a console or a game on console that has like 8K fucking polygons and all this shit, and oh, that's so big. But then, if it loads really slow or there's pop-in, like that's not, I don't really think that's necessarily what people want. And maybe they don't know that they don't want that. But I think I would rather have a game, in all honesty, at 1440p that, yes, has a draw distance of like, however many like miles or whatever, and yes, is more populated with people. I think I would prefer that over giant fucking, this taxi cab is made of 10,000 polygons. Like, I don't fucking care. I'm not looking at the cab. I'm looking at all of the cabs and the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, are there going to be times where people stop and focus in on something? Sure. But maybe with that faster SSD, when someone's moving, don't load a taxi cab at its full resolution, load it at a smaller resolution so you can load it more quickly. It might be that thing of Final Fantasy VII Remake was fucking horrible with its texture pop-in.
Oh my god.
Maybe it could be something like that, where they can do something similar, where they show you the lower resolution object when you're farther away or moving quickly, but as soon as you slow down, like quickly load in that higher resolution asset. I don't know. We'll see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Moving
Next
on.
question.
From Negative Cosine. Cyberpunk settings are a lot of fun in movies and games, but in reality it seems to be our inevitable future. As technology, robotics, and surveillance advance, do you think it is possible to avoid the corporate-owned police-state dystopia?
No.
It's a heavy question, and the answer is probably going to be no.
Yeah. I mean, I corporate-owned police-state dystopia seems. I mean, if you take that at face value and like quite literally, I don't think we're gonna be living in the world of fucking like Blade Runner or Cyberpunk or anything. But you will. I think
Maybe not in our lifetime.
Yeah, maybe not in our lifetime.
Yeah.
But you will. I think we're getting pretty close to seeing glimpses of aspects of those kinds of worlds.
I mean,
in
it's
our own
always been the
society.
case that money rules the world. Whoever has more money makes the decisions, makes things happen. Politicians
And
they
money
don't
twists
like,
people,
oh, well, I'm not taking a donation and fucking bribes. They happen all the fucking time. And yes, that's definitely going to be a thing. And yes, technology is getting smaller and faster and more widespread. So yes, it is definitely going to be that kind of cameras everywhere watching you, seeing what you do, being able to track people. That is 100% going to happen. You know why I think it's going to happen? Because it's already fucking happening now.
Yeah.
It is not.
Yeah,
it is
it's-
not a fucking futuristic dream. It is the present.
Yeah, it's just, those things are played up and displayed in such a way to make them visually interesting in movies, but like that's just not the way it is. Like in real life, those things are hidden. Those things
Yeah.
are happening in the background without you even knowing about them.
But it's
But they're
crazy.
definitely happening.
Crazy you can look outside and it looks shockingly similar to how it did like 10, 20, 30 years ago. Mm-hmm.
But knowing how much has actually changed.
Well, it's not
there are
changing on
certain
that
things
larger
changed
scale.
a lot.
We aren't getting houses that are all like made of angles and shapes, and our cars aren't fucking like eggs on wheels and shit.
We still don't have our hoverboards,
Exactly.
goddammit.
But because that's not where the money is. Making some
Hoverboards?
no, I'm saying making some like fancy house or car or whatever. That's not what makes you the money. It's the technology. It's the small things. It is the fact that you can write artificial intelligence that can scan people's faces and find out where they are and find them on Facebook and shit. That's where the fucking money is. It's data mining.
That's the scary shit, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's move
Next
on to our
question.
final question
Last
for this
question.
evening from Chris Thacker from Kincaid, West Virginia. With consoles beginning to advertise digital-only versions of their consoles more and more as generations go on, we're obviously seeing a push to an all-digital age of gaming. Some people, I'm sure, already participate in this, buying everything digitally on one account. My question is this: how do you think companies will handle digital gaming years down the road, when older generation consoles eventually lose their online services and capabilities? Will we simply lose the ability to download the games that were purchased because it could all be fit on one storage device? Will our digital libraries one day be made obsolete, or will there always be a way to archive or download them on the next console, regardless of how many generations pass?
Never trust these companies. Always trust the people who are making like emulators and stuff, because they're what's going to keep old video games going.
So yeah,
not
that's
these
what I was going to
companies.
say. So yes, I think you will have access to, certain digital games on consoles for a very, very long time. But yes, things are definitely going to be lost to time because maybe it doesn't behoove the company to support it anymore.
You want a great recent example? It's Scott Pilgrim the game.
Yep.
That game disappeared for years because of licensing issues. Only recently did Ubisoft work with what's his name, the creaor, to bring that back.
As in during the Ubisoft Forward that just happened last week.
Yes.
Is when it was confirmed.
With Immortals
But yeah,
Rise of
that being
Phoenix.
said, there will always be sailors of the high seas that will make sure that they acquire, hidden gems and make them available in certain fashions. But yes, we are moving towards an all digital future. That's one of the things I was kind of talking about during
I think this
our
is the last generation with physical media, probably.
I think so. I honestly do not think that PlayStation 6 will have like discs. Because I don't think that's coming out in 5 years. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe like 5-6 years from now. Well, I hope not. That's
Probably better for the environment ultimately.
No, it is. It's you're no longer printing discs, which means you're no longer doing factories, which means you're no longer making cases, which means you're no longer making inserts, which means you're no longer having to physically drive trucks that deliver things, which means those things aren't wrapped in plastic, which means those things aren't put in boxes. So yes, it kind of does benefit the environment to do that.
Think about all those jobs though that are lost.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
that
that's
sucks.
definitely a case. That, things that's how it's always happened. Nick, think about all the people who used to fucking operate elevators. Yeah, they don't have
That's
jobs
weird.
anymore.
That's a
It's
weird thought.
things change. Think about the people who used to like man crosswalks, and that's how things change over time. And so I do think we're moving towards a digital future because the internet is getting faster. The internet, broadband's being more widespread. The fact that 5G has like ridiculously fast capabilities of wirelessly transmitting data. That's going to happen. In the next 5-6 years, we're going to see Wi-Fi speeds of like a gigabit. That's going to happen.
As speaking as someone who is obviously being dragged into the old digital future, kicking and screaming, I've always been terrified of this. It's like I personally like the feeling of physical ownership. That's just why, even though it's very artificial, like I continue to buy things physically. But at the same time, I'm becoming more comfortable with it, with digital stuff. I'm also getting. I mean, you also got to realize like a lot of the stuff that you're thinking about. Like, it's scary to think that your library could potentially disappear, but at the same time, think about how many games in your library you would actually miss if everything fell apart. There'd probably only be like a handful where you're like, "Oh no, not those." Everything.
Couldn't
else
you
would
say
just
the
be
same
like,
about your physical library?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's all up here. It's all in your head. I'm gonna hold on tightly to my physical media as long as I possibly can.
Unless it's your
But
Vita or your
There was a
PS3.
time, and on this podcast, that I've said I'm not even sure if I'll continue playing games once physical option is gone. I have changed since then. I've become way more comfortable with it, and that's I'm happy about that. But I don't think there's really a ton of danger of the possibility that you'll lose stuff is obviously there, but like think about your Steam library now and how many games you bought like 10 years ago that are still sitting there in your Steam library that can be played at any time.
Dude, looking at there are like sites online that can show you what percentage of your Steam games you've never played or whatever, and it's kind of sad looking at
Absurd.
those. Yeah.
Yep. So, it's scary, but I don't think it's something necessarily to be scared of. I'm hoping I can actually embrace that way of thinking 100%.
There are people who care about it way more than we are that are going to ensure that this stuff exists forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the good news is we haven't gotten to the point yet to where we have to start worrying about the cases of I own a license to this game that I bought digitally, but the publisher of that game on X platform, they won't allow me to download it anymore.
What about PT?
We don't have that problem yet. Well,
that's
PT
a
was
very
a thing.
rare.
A lot of people are going to get rid of their PS4s
What
when they get
happened with
PS5s,
Tales?
and PT
Wasn't there
is
an issue
gonna
with like
just
Tales from the
disappear.
Borderlands or something?
A lot of,
Downloading?
I mean, it
There was
happens so much.
licensing issues that got ironed out, I think.
Forza Horizon 3
Just remember this, guys. When it all disappears, it still exists up here in your mind.
Does it?
You have those memories
until you take a blow to the head.
All right. That is it for questions this week, guys. Thank you so much. Of course, if you're interested in supporting us, you can do so by subscribing on Twitch at twitch.tv/4playerpodcast, or you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. You can ask us questions for as little as $1 a month. So check that out. I want to do a supporter spotlight before we wrap up. As I said earlier in the show, Mr. Green Toast is our supporter spotlight this week, and I totally thought I had that pulled up, and I totally don't. Shoot the shit for a second, guys. I dropped the ball.
Yeah, sure. No, that's fine.
So everyone got their PS5, right?
I believe
I
everyone
got mine.
here did, yes. Chris Davis, question for you.
Yes.
Are you getting an X?
I'm leaning towards not at launch.
Okay.
My thing is that my primary purpose of getting an X right now, because Halo's not there, is for backwards compatibility. I'm on a real kick of that right now.
I guess, but I think it's one of those things where there are plenty of new games that are coming out to keep you distracted in the meantime. I would say, do your best to hold off and wait a little bit before, and then it'll be all the sweeter when you finally get it, and then you can start playing some of those.
Is Halo launching
games.
on PC and?
It'll be on. It'll be on both.
Yeah.
Microsoft way is PC.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not in a position
spotlight
right now to upgrade my computer, so I have a 1080. I want those like ray tracing, those extra stuff that are going to be next gen focused, but I can't get a PC upgrade right now. So that's another thing about getting an X, is that my Halo machine will
So
take
for
$25 a month.
Just for Halo, right?
there'll be more stuff.
All right, I have the supporter spotlight right here. Mr. Green Toast, Miguel from Texas, is our support spotlight this week. I'm going to read. Obviously, we have a forum with some general gaming related questions. You can share some stuff about yourself, your taste in games with the community. I'm going to read them out here. I'm going to start with, we ask, what is one interesting fact about yourself that you would like the community to know? And he says, I can twist either of my legs backwards, but not at the same time, and can walk on stairs while doing it.
I feel like I knew this about him. Has he shared this with?
Well, I mean,
us
we've met
before?
him a couple times at conventions and stuff. I think he.
I'm pretty sure
wondering
that's
if
how he
maybe-
introduces himself. Like, hi, I'm Miguel. I can turn my feet backwards and walk.
Does he walk up to you like the fucking alien from Arrival? Is that what I'm that's what I'm picturing? Or the crab walk from fucking Exorcist. What are your top 5 games of all time? It's number 5, Deadhead Fred. John C. McGinley of Scrubs fame voices Fred, a detective who lost his head and has to get it while dealing with the mafia, undead, and making use of switching heads for different power-ups.
I forgot about
I
that.
actually never knew what that. I never knew what that game was actually about. That actually sounds kind of cool.
Forgot about the game. Holy shit!
That is a game.
That's his
number
like little his icon, or at least it was.
that is his icon. Number 4, Destroy All Humans.
Okay, those are very similar in some ways.
Rage of the
Two.
Furon, or whatever it's called.
It's 2.
2.
Just the concept alone of killing humans as a Jack Nicholson sounding alien is great, but the sequel improves the humor, weapon variety, and scale of the maps by going global. Still haven't played either one of those games.
Well, he's gonna have a fun time with the remake then.
What was the verdict? Did that remake come out?
It's already out.
It's already
Been
out.
out. Yeah, it's been out.
It's out.
Oh.
And you didn't hear much about it, which makes me kind of. I'm sure he's probably already.
No, I hear it's a pretty
jumped
good
on
remake.
that.
Like it looks pretty nice. And
Is he in chat still?
Yeah, he is.
yes.
Payday, or sorry, number 3, Payday
2.
2. I know several cast members dismissed this game, but running around with customizable masks and slight randomized levels in this heist game while leveling up and picking your playstyle to roll stealth or action was always fun with friends, and the soundtrack is so fucking beast.
Yeah,
Great
I
soundtrack.
I
Oh
played
my God,
a
so
little bit
many
of that.
levels.
Ooh, number 2, Fable.
It's 2.
2.
I don't think anyone likes the other Fables as much.
Well, the first one's pretty good.
That one's pretty good.
History wants you to think that, but I don't think that's true.
All right.
What was his answer?
Well, you're right. Fable 2. I wish more games had both a good and evil karma system along with purity and corruption meter as well.
Hey. Mega Man Legends has a karma system. Just gonna put it
along with the corruption and the purity and corruption meter.
Oh yeah, Mega Man. The more good you do, your suit turns a lighter color, and the more bad you do, your suit turns a darker color.
Interesting. Well, maybe you should look into that, Mr. Green Toast. He says it was fun to roll evil but still be noble by keeping your body healthy or act good, but have flies hang around you as you ate baby chickens. Oh my god. Plus, I miss wacky British humor with this series. I hope it retains that in the new sequel or whatever that game actually is. Number 1, Dragon's Dogma. This open world RPG stands out by having a great combat system and letting you scale foes while worrying about how much fuel your lantern has left. We played that for the Revival Club, and I finally played that game for the first time. And you're right, that game is simply dope. And I'll read one more. We ask, what is a game that you consider to be underrated that you wish more people would play, and why? He says, Deadhead Fred. It's a PSP game that has plenty of good M-rated humor, a neat concept of switching your head to gain different power-ups, and the soundtrack is also quite good, but not talked about as often. So he seems really into the idea of Deadhead Fred, wants more people to play it. Check it out.
Is that available on the
How do you check it out?
PlayStation TV?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I mean,
play on the Vita?
I mean,
You
can play
also
a
love
lot of
Stubbs the
PSP
Zombie,
games.
Rebel Without a Pulse.
Saying they released them digitally and stuff like that, so that's why
My
I'm kind of
guess.
curious.
Just guessing.
Guys, if you are interested in partaking and being featured on a future episode for the Supporter Spotlight, all you got to do is subscribe or support us on Patreon at the $3 tier or higher, and you can find the link to this form in the Supporter Spotlight channel in Discord at discord.gg/4player. And with that, it is time for the 4-Player Minute. Chris Davis, are you ready to do this?
Putting me on the spot?
Well,
What do you
saying
mean
to time
ready
us.
to do this? Isn't he just throwing up a timer?
Yeah, I've got the timer set and ready.
All right,
Ready to do this.
just for the
Are we
record,
going to
Brad,
have
for the
music in the
record.
future? We need music.
I have mine prepared.
Congratulations. It's only
Well-
taken 12 years.
Well, we'll figure this out as far as like sound effects and stuff on future episodes.
Music. We need hype music.
We need hype music or some kind of sound effect or a soundboard or something that we can implement. But anyways,
It sucks that this is the first one that I only have a minute.
well,
Because exciting stuff happened. 2 Monster Hunter games were announced today. Monster Hunter Rise, exclusively for the Switch now, is a follow-up, more or less, like spiritually, to Monster Hunter World. Even though it's only on the Switch, it's going to have like the seamless connected map like Monster Hunter World did, which is really exciting. No more like segmented with load screens. It has a new like whip thing, like a grappling hook you're swinging around. You can ride around on stuff, which was kind of introduced in Iceborne. Your little wolf looks like Rapide. That's pretty awesome. And I'm just really excited about it. Monster Hunter World in my hands, kind of. My sweat, though. Oh, also they announced Monster Hunter Stories 2, which I'll probably play. That's the one like Pokemon. My sweat is for a Switch Pro, which has been heavily rumored because between a new Monster Hunter, Metroid Prime 4, and Breath of the Wild 2, I'm not going to feel good about playing that on a weak-ass Switch, and I'm just going to have to buy one, and I don't want to do that. My thank you goes to Reborn. I finally got my signed postcard.
I'm so
Wonderful
sorry.
101 remaster. Thank you. And my fuck you goes to Ubisoft for being scumbags and not admitting it in their show. But most importantly, renaming their game from Gods and Monsters to Immortals Phoenix Rising, which I think turned it into a game that nobody cares about anymore. And that sucks.
I'm gonna play that, by the way. But that is a terrible name. That is a terrible name. They should have just called it Immortals. At least kept it short and sweet. I don't know why
Phoenix
they had to
Rising with
tack
an
on that terrible subtitle.
FENIX.
Yeah. Also, what the weird? Oh god.
They used a song. They used like a James Brown song,
It was
which was
weird.
It
That
just
was a
seemed
weird
out
choice.
of place. It was very weird.
Nolan, your turn.
Yep. Ready.
And go.
What? Oh, look at this cocky son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'll get mine done. All right. My sweat is I am planning on building a new PC, but I'm worried because I kind of want to custom water cool it, which is going to be really complicated. But I'll bring the temperatures way down on everything and be able to overclock it for all the next gen stuff that's coming out. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. My thank is going to go to I finally got a PS5 pre-ordered last night. I was kind of worried I wasn't going to get one. This is going to be the first console I'm actually buying on launch, so excited that I got one. My hype is for Mario, which comes out tomorrow. I'm excited to play that, even though I know they're just kind of emulations. My fuck you is going to go to Nintendo for Mario Party, whichever one is on the Switch, because the multiplayer online is a piece of shit and worthless, and Nintendo doesn't let you return games digitally.
Nice.
Nice.
Look at that. Look at us, guys. Look at us doing this quickly.
Who'd
All right,
have
Chris
thought?
Weekend's
Davis.
going to be very,
Before
very
I begin,
awkward.
I have to ask Nolan this question. Why did you buy a Mario Party game?
This is why 4-player minutes went long. Because we talk to each other during
because we have some friends that we sometimes hang out with digitally, like you throw up like a Discord call or FaceTime or something and play games like Overcooked or whatever, and they wanted to do Mario Party, and I'm like, I love Mario Party, those games are great, but this new one apparently is a piece of shit, and all you can do online is like these really simple mini games.
Yeah.
All right, I had
right.
to know.
Time yourself.
well,
Chris
you
Davis.
lost 30 seconds off your
All right,
minutes. So.
my 4-player minute starts now. My hype this week, it's going towards the next gen stuff, man. Like it's finally fucking happening. This generation probably should have started last year, if we're being honest here, but I'm glad it's finally happening. My sweat goes to how much fucking money I have to spend the next 6 weeks, 2 months, sorry. Because hey, I pre-ordered my PS5, but I'm on the fence as to whether I want to buy my Halo machine or not for launch. I don't know just yet.
You already have a Halo machine.
Yeah, my thank you goes to Walmart for just completely fucking up and just launching early, because that was probably one of the few ways I was going to be able to actually get a system, was that fucked up launch. And my fuck you this week goes to Ubisoft. Fuck you for those fucking VR Splinter Cell games. Fuck you. How fucking dare you?
You're gonna play it though in VR,
I don't want to.
right?
I don't want
What if it's
to.
good? What if it's good? All right,
Really?
my turn. I mean, I feel you. Nobody wanted that, but hey, it's what's happening. I'm ready. You ready?
Go.
All right, my 4-player minute starts now. My hype. Next gen starts in 2 months. I can't believe it. It's middle of September. I didn't think about it till the other day, and I was like, oh my god. Like, we're pre-ordering consoles, and they're going to be out in less than 2 months, along with like all these amazing games.
Hey Nick, which games are you going to buy at launch?
Demon Souls, God damn it, Brett, shut up. Let me finish my thing first. My sweat goes to my PS5 pre-order. I got one. I got it through Target, though. I've never pre-ordered anything through Target before, but I got it.
You seemed worried about Walmart.
Wait, what? No, God, stop fucking distracting me. I have a second fuck you goes to Ubisoft. For their half-assed promises. They put out this apology and everything about that, all the controversy happening at Ubisoft, and including that really terrible thing that made like that Elite game that like painted Black Lives Matter and whatever. They put this apology video out and said that they didn't have time to put it in at the front of the live video, but don't worry, it'll be at the front of the VOD, and it fucking wasn't. So fuck you, Ubisoft. That's bullshit.
We're way past time.
And
Nick's no longer host of this podcast.
My last fuck you goes to Sony and Nvidia. Apparently getting a new graphics card is harder than a PS5. The add to cart button for the Nvidia graphics cards this morning never even appeared. It went straight from coming soon to out of stock. What the fuck? So, yes.
Oh, the irony. The one person who wanted to shorten this down to a minute is the one who took the fucking longest for his 4-player minute.
Brad kept derailing me like a
You let him.
bitch. Of course I let him. Brad gets away with a lot of shit here. Anyways, guys, that's our show. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. I know it was a bit of a long one. A lot of stuff to discuss tonight. So I guess join us again next Thursday night. We'll have more video games to talk about, including Super Mario All-Stars and maybe Spelunky 2. Although
You know what this weekend's
going to
be?
Waiting on Spelunky 2.
Yeah.
You know what this weekend's
right?
going to be? A lot of people bought this thing and they're like, I'm finally going to play some Sunshine. They've all already played Sunshine, but forgot about why they didn't finish it. It's going to be a lot of people bitching about Sunshine this weekend.
What were they called in Sunshine? Like Sunnies or some shit?
Shines.
Like,
Shines.
Shines.
I think the most shines I ever got in that game was like 5 or 6. I have not played a
Mark
lot
my
of this
words.
game.
I'm finishing Mario Sunshine finally.
The funny thing is,
There's
and
gonna
I didn't
There's
bring it
going to
up.
be a lot of people bitching about Sunshine this week.
I didn't bring it up. I don't know if I have it. It's right here.
Watch the tweets at first are gonna.
Wait,
everyone's gonna be very positive, like, "Oh, this thing is great. People hate Sunshine," and then later on in the weekend, they're gonna be like,
The past week and a half, this is what I've been playing. I'm actually up
Mario
to.
Galaxy
I think I'm up
2.
to like 30 or 40 stars. I've been playing a little bit of it. I forgot how good of a game it is.
Dude, Mario Galaxy 2 is dope. It's a damn shame it's not in this collection. But I am looking forward to picking up that collection tomorrow and playing through it. So, guys,
starting
thank you
with
so much for
Sunshine.
being here. Yeah, me too. Me too. It's the only game
I'll
that
race you,
I
Nick.
played Galaxy. Well, okay, fine. It's on.
Project
bitch.
M.
All right.
Sudden Project M. Sunshine.
No.
Let's
That's
do
not
it.
happening.
Project
All right,
Sunshine.
guys.
Sunshine is so fucked.
Thank you, guys. Oh my god, let me wrap up this fucking show, guys. Thank you so much for listening. 4playernetwork.com is the website. If you're interested in supporting us financially, please check us out at patreon.com/4player. We're going to be starting work on our next video. If you haven't yet checked out our last video, I had a nice conversation with Crispy about Ghost of Tsushima. Check that out. It's on our YouTube channel. It's on 4playernetwork.com. And yeah, we'll be back next week with plenty more video games to discuss. Hopefully we'll see you guys in Discord at discord.gg/4player. Until next week, good night.